Hi, welcome everybody. It's your man RTP. Skull Gang in the building. You already know what it is. We here. This is what I like to call the Big Buccing Show. Yes, it happened. Thank you, thank you. We got some Buccaneer vid makers in the building. I like to let them introduce themselves from top to bottom. Go ahead.
Hey guys, James here, otherwise known as Mr. Bucks Nation on YouTube. Happy to be here. First time I've been, well, technically, I called in a couple of times,
There you
but
go. Yep.
first time I've ever been, fully a part of a Real Talk Prez live stream. So happy to be here, man. This is awesome.
Thank you for joining.
What's up, guys? It is Rhett Matthew, a.k.a. Reticus from the Cannon Fire podcast. RTP and James, both of these guys reached out to me yesterday about putting this show together, and I'm excited as hell to talk about it. I'm not excited because I'm sitting here on my phone browser instead of my really nice computer with my microphone set up, but technology doesn't want to work for me tonight, so here we are. But hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear, and I'm very excited to be a part of this.
Yes, we can, and I appreciate you from joining. Appreciate all you guys for joining. We got people watching from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on Periscope, I think. So we're gonna go through the Buccaneers 2020 schedule game by game, see if that pops up. There we go, and we already know what the first week is going to be bringing. By the way, everybody here is on YouTube, like they said. So if you haven't yet, which I'm sure that you have, go ahead and hit them up, sub them up, and all that good stuff. And let's get into this first week, man. First week, they just throw it out there in the very first week. Buccaneers versus the Saints. By the way, James, since you're on your computer, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that you're able to look up like any opponents' schedules as well, so we know like who they play, who they just finished playing? You know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay, cool. If it's not too much, but we start first week, first opponents, the New Orleans Saints at the Saints. How you guys feeling about this one?
I'm excited, man. I am more excited about this matchup with the Saints week one than I was when we opened the season against them a few years ago. I feel like with everything going on lately, not only with the addition of Brady and this new look Bucks, quote unquote, I just feel like at some point this rivalry got taken to the next level. It's not like the Bucks and the Saints have been fighting for the division these past few years. I won't put it that way. But for some reason, maybe because of the whole Jameis Winston thing, this rivalry, I hate Saints fans more than ever right now. And I'm excited for this game because I'm excited for the Buccaneers to put up or shut up come week one, show us what kind of team they're going to be. And if they can come out and they can beat New Orleans, it's going to be a hell of a show. I'm excited for it.
Yes. James?
I would have loved if it was like a home game, maybe even a primetime game to start, But, just like what Rhett was saying, like, just seems like as more time goes on, the Saints just seem to do more and more things to just piss off everybody, Saints GM talking about certain things, Sean Payton saying certain things to the media. And like, obviously they signed Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas says a ton of stuff and Cameron Jordan says a ton of stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, they never stop, talking and doing all that stuff, Yeah. So I think this is a good game to start off. Happy that, out of all of the away games that we have, we get arguably our hardest one just right out of the way first. Right. Playing the Saints away can be pretty tough. And I am happy that it is kind of like, just get that one out of the way. But this one, like what Rhett was saying, I really hope they come out there and like start off strong because there's a lot of new pieces, very important pieces. Tom Brady's the quarterback now, among other certain moves that have been made. So, yeah, while I would have preferred, maybe a home primetime game or something like that, I am kind of happy that we are able to get probably our hardest away game out of the way first.
I feel you when you talk about the Saints and, basically being the crybabies of the division. I mean, they are that team is always crying about something, whether it's the team, whether it's the player, whether it's the coach, or it's the fans. They're always crying about something, petitioning for the pass interference. They were crying about, didn't they cry something about Tom Brady going to get his playbook to the commish saying, "Oh, check on that. I think they're breaking rules." Then they were crying about something with the Panthers. The Panthers were supposedly doing something. They just that whole organization is so irritating. And Sean Payne, I've always said, as one of the most punchable faces in the league. And I don't know if you guys remember. Well, of course, I'm pretty sure you guys remember that game where Dirk Cutter was shaking Sean Payne's hand, and they were kind of like going back and forth, and Sean Payne was kind of moving him back and forth. I would be damned if he does something like that to BA. BA seems like not the type of guy that's gonna sit there. I mean, BA will swing on him. That's what I feel like. BA will just straight swing on this guy.
Sean Payton, bro, in that little in that exchange he had with Dirk Cutter, he was trying to break that man's rib.
Yes.
Like, you cannot convince me looking back at it that he wasn't frustrated as hell about something. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I'm with you. It'd be interesting to see if he tries something like that with Bruce. Bruce will hit him with the right cross. That'll be it.
Yeah.
That's
like when you were talking about that, I flashed in my head that memory of that exchange, and it was just like they just, like you said, like I would maybe even take it a step further. Like they're probably pretty high up there in terms of the entire league in terms of complaining about stuff. You know, I mean, even going far back, the Minnesota Vikings game, I think was that the one you were mentioning with the petition, or did you take it back a year further with the Rams?
I think it was the one with the Rams with the pass interference.
Yeah, so it's just like, it seems like every year now, the past couple of years, they find something to complain about, multiple things, and it can get annoying. It can get pretty annoying. So yeah, that, and it's just, hopefully this year we can really just make it stop.
The rivalry has definitely, like you said, went to another level. What are you guys seeing as far as this game going? You think we win this game, we lose this game? What are we thinking here?
It's hard to tell right now. I don't like doing season predictions at this time of year when the schedule drops, solely because, I like to wait around training camp, kind of see the different position battles that are going on, what guys are doing well, what guys are not. I'll be honest, though. I think if the Buccaneers can come out and be the team that a lot of people are hyped up about right now, if they can be 75% of what their full potential is, I think they could win this game, because we know New Orleans, they come out week 1, week 2, they always let an easy one go that they were right at the end of the year. So I think this could be that game. If the Bucs do their homework, they could come out, put on a show, and win in New Orleans for the second time in a row. Well, I guess opening the season second time in a row, because the last time they opened the season in the Superdome, Fitzmagic gave us the shootout.
Yeah, he did. James?
Now, this could change, because much like Rhett, obviously, I usually save this for later. And this might not be the popular answer, but I'm going to say that they're going to lose week 1. Okay? Now, here, I have a story behind it. Just go with me.
Okay.
I think that, obviously playing the Saints at home, like I said, this is probably going to be the toughest away game we have on the entire schedule. Hands down, and I think that they will lose this game. I think it could be a close game. But I really think that they'll lose, and then we'll start to hear that narrative that comes up every year, seemingly, of like, oh, Tom Brady, he's done, dude. He's done. And the Bucs are overhyped. They're the Cleveland Browns, And I think that's going to feed them to kind of say, like, okay, yeah, we lost the first one, but yeah, that was a tough game, and we're going to show you all what's up, So right now I'll say they lose, but I think that this, if they were to lose, it could be just even better motivation,
Well, first of all, I agree with you guys. Obviously, it's way too early to be predicting stuff. Teams can look different, right after training camp, after preseason, everything, changes. But, for the show's sake, we'll go ahead and we'll go and do these just to have a little fun. As far as the first week, I am a true believer of this. Our team is just better than the Saints. But again, I will have to say this as well. I wouldn't say a mistake. I just kind of gave Jameis the benefit of the doubt last year with this offense, feeling like Jameis is a lot more smart. He can pick up this offense. Now understanding other, Hall of Famers, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, their first year in this system. Look, it is what it is. I'm just going to go with Brady struggling a little bit the first couple weeks, maybe the first 2-3 weeks with the offense getting it down. How much of this offense is BA and how much are we going to implement, Brady, what he likes to do? I don't know. Hopefully we'll see some of that. But I'm going to just say that we take this L the very first week. This team's coming in, we're going to over there. Like you said, it's one of the hardest places to play. Which is why I think they gave it to us. I think they just wanted to get that out the way and not have to worry about I think, Goodell and the schedule people, they favoring Brady. So they're trying to, let's get that out the way. And I just feel like it's going to be hard. They've been together. That team's been together. They'll be able to hit the ground running before we can hit the ground running because we've got our new pieces. It happens to be a major piece, which is the quarterback. So I think it'll take a while for him to get a little bit used to the offense. I have said this, and I'll say this again. I think the pressure is completely on the New Orleans Saints in this game, though. Because if they do not beat us in week 1, the next time they see us, we should be hitting on all cylinders and we should be a different beast. So if they don't beat us this time, we are sweet. I think we sweep the Saints, but I'm going to go with an L for that one.
Let me ask you this. Well, first things first, I think it's going to be a shootout too, regardless of who wins,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be not the kind of shootout we've seen before where, and I'm not knocking Jameis, but where it's a shootout where it's like Jameis digs a hole,
400 and
the Bucks,
like
the Bucks dig a hole for themselves and then they come back and it's like this big score, but the Bucks lost in the end. No, I think it's gonna be like a clean shootout,
Yeah,
like not a lot of mistakes from both offenses.
Right.
But let me ask you guys this. Go ahead, Rhett. You're good.
No, I was just going to ask, what do you think the over-under is for the yards per game? Let's say Brady, you think he's throwing more or less than 400 yards?
I think, and RTP, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I think he'll probably throw for like less than 400, but still like in the 300 range.
Yeah, okay.
I agree. Like I said, I think he's going to stumble a little bit. Our weapons are our weapons. And another thing that I think a lot of people are really not paying attention to or even realizing is the fact that, they like to say, oh, Tom Brady, he doesn't throw down the field. He doesn't throw down the field. Okay, so he does a lot of short passes. Even more, he checks the ball down a lot more. And you got to understand that teams are used to just having all their defenders drop back deep. All of them drop back deep because we never throw the ball. We never check the ball down. So the fact that now they have to worry about our weapons going deep with Speedy, Scotty, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, OJ, Grunt, all these weapons could beat you downfield. They're all used to, really deep routes. They have to defend that, and then forgetting, or maybe not forgetting, but just Brady being Brady, just continuing to just check down the ball to Rojo and getting 5, 10, 15 yards here and there just by checking it down. I think that's how he's going to get a lot of yards, especially in the beginning of the season. But I do agree, maybe 300s.
So definitely kind of like a lot of he'll have a lot of yards, but he'll also be like kind of like throwing a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like kind of like the opposite of Jameis, whereas like where Jameis like kind of throws the deep ball to get a lot of his yardage, like Tom Brady's kind of throwing a lot of the shorter passes with his guys getting the yards after the catch.
Right. I think once they, I mean, it might happen right away where defenses realize like, we have to protect the short yardage routes because that's all he's doing is going short. And if they start doing that, I mean, how much easier is it going to be for Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or Scotty to take off the top,
Yeah,
or
Tyler Johnson now.
Or Tyler Johnson,
I still have a good amount of expectation for Tom Brady to look to hit the deep ball.
Oh yeah,
once, twice, maybe like 3 or 4 times a game. Honestly, maybe more so as the season goes on. He gets more comfortable, but I don't doubt his arm yet. I really do think he's going to open up our short passing game, as you guys talked about. But it would not surprise me to see a long bomb to either Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, whoever can get down the field and get open at that point.
Kind of like how Fitz was doing it. Was Fitz throwing the deep ball a ton or no? I can't remember.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He was slinging it.
Okay, never mind on that one. But the question I have for both of you, and when somebody suggested that to me, it made me sick. If the Saints win this game, do you think that Sean Payton would say, "Okay, Breeze, come on out for the kneel down. Jameis, get in there"?
100%.
I wouldn't put it past them.
That's the most Sean Payton thing I've ever heard, dude.
I got so mad when I heard that. I thought, oh my, and exactly what I just thought he totally would. He totally would.
I just came on here and said that, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost, if it is what it is. I wouldn't even care, honestly, because when we won our Super Bowl, we lost week 1. So in my opinion, I never care about week 1. Hey, it happens. Everyone's trying to get into the rhythm, whatever. Just knowing that part that you just said is just enough for me not to really want to lose week 1. Like, I really do. I do not want that to happen. I love Jameis, but I do not want that to. Oh my God.
It could be worse. Could you imagine if, like, this is like the worst scenarios? Like, if we won week 1 and then we go back home and it's like primetime game. Is our Saints game a primetime game or no?
Yes. The second
prime time versus the Saints. And we lose, and then Sean Payton does that at our own stadium. Oh, I'd feel sick. I would feel sick, man. Anyway,
so what you're saying is we got to sweep them. That's it.
Basically,
We're not taking no chances of Jameis coming out. We sweeping them. Let's.
Okay, that's our only option.
All right, so we good with week 1?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, and then bam, right off the bat, we go against the Panthers. Another division game. I believe this is at home, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And I believe the Panthers will be coming off of playing against the Raiders.
They will have just played the Raiders. Yep.
Okay. How you feeling about this team?
The Raiders are the Raiders are an interesting, or sorry, not the Raiders. Sorry, the Panthers are an interesting team. Okay. Cam's gone. Teddy Bridgewater's in. I just feel like not much is going to change. It's just still going to be all Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Matt Rule is such a gamble at the head coach position because, you look at what he's coming in and trying to do his first year. It's either going to be really good or really bad. I don't think there's going to be any in between. I don't know if this team, Carolina, has room to finish like 8-8, 9-7. I think it's either going to be 4-12 or they make the playoffs. With that being said, looking at what they did in the draft, they went entirely defense. I don't know, man. I think they're going to lay the groundwork this year. Maybe they'll have their moments, but I don't think they're going to be a good team. So I've got the Bucs taking this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree with that too. You lost Luke Kuechly. First off, that one alone is like horrific. That'd be like if we lost Levante David, and I never want that to happen.
Right.
They lost Greg Olsen. They lost James Bradbury. They lost loads of other players. Gerald McCoy isn't there anymore. They've lost so many pieces. Cam,
they lost.
Say again, Rhett.
No, go ahead. You took the words out of my mouth.
Cam's gone, and in my opinion, it's I don't even know if it's from Cam to Teddy. That's not. I don't think that's an upgrade. I think that's like kind of a lateral move or maybe even a downgrade. And I like Teddy. That I'm not knocking Teddy. It's just kind of like, what changes. I don't think that Teddy adds like this super crazy, interesting dynamic to your quarterback position. I do think that obviously he would have been good for the Bucs because he would have cut down on turnovers and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, he's still kind of like a game manager type of quarterback, and that's what we saw with the New Orleans Saints when he went with that 5-game run. It's just kind of like he does just enough, to kind of be middle of the pack. And I think that's what he's going to be for the Panthers. So yeah, there's not a lot of confidence I have in them. I don't think they're tanking or anything. It's not like I don't think they're going to like tank for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields right now, but like they really just kind of seem like a middle of the pack team. So I don't know.
You want me to go? I'll go real quick. I feel like this team is such a question mark. From Ron Rivera not being there to Luke Kuechly not being there to Cam no longer being there. So however you want to look at it, even the owner's not the same owner. I've been saying like little by little, I've been seeing little breadcrumbs of that owner trying to seem like he might be the NFC South's Jerry Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like he seems like he really wants to put his handprints on this team. That could be bad, but we don't know what this team is going to look like. What this coaching staff is going to be. It's a complete, toss up. And more than likely, I mean, we've been through coaches, we've been through different GMs, we've been through different players, and it's more than likely you're not going to hit. You're probably going to miss. So that's how I look at it. And even if they do hit, more than likely it's not going to be in the first year, So I don't think this team's going to be that competitive. I think Teddy Bridgewater. I won't say nothing negative. I won't say nothing positive. I don't think I've seen enough of him. Period. Weapon wise, I don't fear the wide receivers. I do think it will be a McCaffrey show. I don't think it'll be a McCaffrey show in the beginning. I think towards the middle of the season, Matt Rule is just going to start leaning on McCaffrey because he's going to see that's probably the only thing working.
Bold prediction right here.
Okay.
I would love to see Tampa Bay hold Christian McCaffrey to under 75 all-purpose yards. I hope that number one run defense can turn its ugly head once again in 2020, and I hope they show the league what's up. I hope they can hold him down. That's all they have. You're right.
I don't know if you've seen my last video that I had made for Panther fans. I made a video for Panther fans, and they didn't like it. In the video, I basically was taunting them, telling them, how would they feel if we held McCaffrey to 110 yards in rushing in one of the two games that we played him. And then at the end of the video, I basically dropped the bomb on him, saying that basically all-purpose yards, he had 110 for both games together. That's what we held McCaffrey last year. 110 all-purpose yards for both of those games, the first game and the second game together. So one game he had 57, the other game he had 53 total yards. So it's not – we definitely could do it. And if you guys remember, one of them was without Devin White. So it's definitely possible.
I do remember this. They did add Robbie Anderson in free agency, which is it's isn't that they don't have like any weapons, but it will
if you don't pay attention to them.
Yeah. And I do think Robbie Anderson will be interesting. And you made an interesting point too of kind of like, they're going to try at first to, get the weapons involved and get the receivers involved because it's a new head coach with Matt Rule, I still don't think they should have fired Ron Rivera personally. I still think that was kind of like why did you do that?
Yeah, I was glad he was gone.
Yeah, because I thought Ron Rivera was like a really good coach.
Yes.
And they fired him, and that's where I kind of thought like it kind of went all downhill for there in terms of them losing people,
Right.
But I did just want to point out they do have Robbie Anderson now, which will add a very interesting element to it. But I do, like what you said there, where you said, like they're going to try to get their passing game going at first, and then just kind of realize like, go Christian McCaffrey,
Right.
So I do tend to agree with that. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we hear you.
Fantastic. I got my computer up and running, and I was getting that all up in the background, so I dropped out, came back in. I apologize if there were any interruptions, but we are good to go.
Awesome. Right. So Panthers.
Yeah, I say they beat the Panthers here. Get their first win, especially when at home too. First game, that'd be huge for their momentum.
I say that's an easy dub. How about you?
Rhett, what about you?
I'm going to say a dub as well, man. I think a lot of these things with Panthers are not going to translate by week 2. Teddy Bridgewater is still trying to figure out the system. I don't think that defense is going to be as stout as they were last year. So I got a dub for the Bucs.
I just want to say too, like losing Luke Kuechly, that hurts them so bad.
Yes.
That hurts them so freaking bad. Like if you think that you can replace Luke Kuechly that easily, like dead wrong. Dead wrong.
They basically lost 2 defensive coaches, Ron Rivera and Luke Kuechly on the field.
and losing Greg Olsen too. So many years where I would get so mad at Luke Kuechly and Greg Olsen, and we don't have to worry about them anymore. And that means the world to me.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I think they don't understand how big of a loss. Ron Rivera always had that team prepared and ready to play a team. Should we go to the next week, week 3?
Sure, let's do it.
We got the Broncos. Are we home or away?
We are away.
And who did the Broncos just play?
Let me look that up real quick. Not sure. Hold on.
So we're in the Mile High against.
They will have just played the Steelers away.
Okay. All right.
So they'll be getting a home game for obviously they'll be getting a home game after an away game.
You want to talk about the Broncos?
Yeah, man, let's do it. I am. Broncos are a team that, like, I hate to say I didn't pay that much attention to last year, but I really didn't. I know that they've been mostly mediocre and disappointing since their last Super Bowl appearance, but it's going to be interesting. I think the Bucs can come into this game and be competitive without a doubt, even it is on the road. So early thoughts, I think it'll be a good game. I think Bucs can win this. But I wish I knew a little bit more about the Broncos. I really don't. Right. They're one of those teams that I just don't pay that much attention to. So I was kind of surprised to see him up on the schedule.
Is Wade Phillips still their defensive coordinator or no?
No, he's gone. He was on the Rams, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm right with you. I do remember that they're still they were playing musical chairs. Now I think they're feeling happy with what's that guy's name?
Drew Lock.
Yeah, Drew Lock. I don't know. They see something in him. I don't know. I think the only way that we lose this game is if we still haven't landed on our feet offensively. Struggling. I don't see that happening. I really don't see. I see us at minimum. I see our offense starting to have that game where it's like, okay, we look like we know what we're doing now. So I don't see the defense hasn't been the same. Their defense hasn't been the same. So I mean, I see a dub here. I don't know too much about the Broncos either though. But as far as I think a lot of that is because, not no national hype or anything like that. They're still waiting to see what they got at quarterback. Broncos are happy with it. I don't think they have anything there. I think we still take this dub.
Yeah. Obviously they still have some pieces on defense. Like Von Miller is Von Miller, right. And they do have, Bradley Chubb on there as well and some other guys. Justin Simmons at safety, I think they franchise tagged, but they did lose their best cornerback, Chris Harris. He went to the Chargers, I believe. So that's got to sting, especially given all the weapons the Bucs have. Like you can't afford to lose some of your better cornerbacks. I think this team, like what you guys were saying, I think this team's going to go as far as Drew Lock goes, and while he did do some impressive things last year in the few games he started, he still has a long way to go, I think, in terms of, being ready as a quarterback. There was a reason they didn't play him for most of the season last year until he had to come in when Joe Flacco got hurt. It's because they felt he wasn't ready yet.
Right.
So I think he still needs a little bit more time to develop and grow. So while I think this Broncos team, they could be a threat later on down the line, right now as it stands, I feel like they're still kind of in a growing pattern right now, and I think that, I think the Bucs are going to win this one and move on to 2-1.
Makes sense. Let's go to, speaking of Chargers, that's who we play at our house, I believe.
Yep.
You think we see Herbert here or not yet?
So the Chargers will have just played the Panthers, it looks like, in a 4:05 game, and then they play us. So this one's going to be tough. That's tough, man. I think we will. Just because knowing Tyrod Taylor's situation every single time he's named like a temporary starter, he always gets replaced. So I feel bad for him in that aspect, but I do think, they took Justin Herbert with the 5th overall pick. I believe it was the 5th overall pick. They probably would have taken him earlier if they could have. But I think that we'll see Justin Herbert at this point. But I do think it's a game the Bucs will win.
Yeah, I think this is a game that can be a little bit more competitive than what we would have seen in Denver a week before. The Chargers definitely have some pieces, man. And Justin Herbert, if he gets in, if he's hitting his stride and playing like they expect him to play in a top 10 pick, it could be a very competitive game. That Chargers defense,
they're nothing to sneeze at. So
Right.
I think it's, other than maybe the Saints, it's probably the first real test on the schedule of our offense going up against a better defense in the NFL. But I think it'll be a good game. I think it is another winnable game.
Great point about the defense. I agree. I think about two things. One, I think we do see Herbert, and it's the same reason why I've kept saying that I thought that Cam Newton would go to the Chargers. That team needs to sell tickets, and I think they're going to need to play Herbert to sell some tickets. I'm from the West Coast, California. I've said it many times. Chargers going from San Diego to Los Angeles made no sense. They lost fan base made no sense. They're not going to have no fans. Anybody in Los Angeles is either going to be a Raiders fan, 49ers fan, or a Rams fan. That's it. There's really no Charger fans in California, in Los Angeles, I should say. So San Diego fans, there might be some that stick with their team or whatever, but a lot of them don't like Los Angeles, so they're not going to come over to Los Angeles. But anyways, my point is they need to sell tickets. I think we see a lot of Herbert there because of that. I think because we see Herbert, I think our game plan was probably going to be a little less, let's take our chances down the field type situation, and more of let's just cut them with a thousand different cuts. Their defense will buck up a little bit. Our defense is going to buck up, and take advantage of their rookie. I think it'll be a close game. I think we pull away towards the end. I say that's a dub. Go ahead.
One thing I want to say too is, obviously the Bucs don't have the best history of playing like rookie new starting quarterbacks, and like backup quarterbacks, things along those lines. But I think like the difference here is that now we have an opportunity to where like we aren't going to be giving so many opportunities to score points, we're not going to be shooting ourselves in the foot as much, just given the groundwork that's been set on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. I think if this team's efficient enough, that defense is good, like you said. But as long as our defense is holding up too, I feel like a rookie quarterback wouldn't necessarily be able to run with, our offense, if our offense isn't giving him so many opportunities to win the game.
I was going to say, the fact that you're talking about our defense usually plays bad against a new quarterback that we haven't seen. And I was going to say, yeah, but now we got Todd Bowles. We've seen what happened with, and I do believe that, it's different now. We got Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles comes with great game plans, but even Todd Bowles, when we played against the Giants and Daniel Jones, I think the problem there was that our secondary in the beginning of the year just wasn't good in zone, plain and simple. They just, I don't know if the zones were too complicated. I don't know if the defense was too complicated when we played zone. But it took our secondary a while to get used to playing zone. And I think that's what had happened. Daniel Jones was beating us, started beating us playing man. They took a while to go into zone because maybe they knew that we weren't that good in zone yet. And we switched to zone. We played a little bit better. But I don't think this year we'll have to worry about it because our defense seems like they really gelled last year and seems like they understand this defense now. So I think when we do have to switch it up to zone or anything we do, I think our defense will be fine. And I think any quarterback that's not used to the NFL or a rookie quarterback or a first-time starter or someone that just doesn't have a lot of games under their belt, I think they're going to I think there's going to be veteran quarterbacks. Let's be honest. There's going to be struggling against this defense. I think this defense is going to be lights out next year. But, we'll see what happens. Things happen. You guys ready to go next week?
Yeah, sure thing.
Let's do it, man. Right.
We got the Chicago Bears. I believe this is a primetime game. It's our first one, right?
It is, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I believe it's a Thursday night game. I could be wrong.
So
it is the oh wait, no, it's not. Never mind.
It's not a Thursday night game.
Might be a Monday.
I'm trying to. Well, because I wanted to say it was the first of 3 in a row, but it's not. Because the Green Bay game is not a primetime game. But I'm pretty sure this is I want to say Thursday night football. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I probably should.
Yep, it's Thursday night football. And the Bears will have just played the Indianapolis Colts on a Sunday. So that'll be interesting. And we will.
I don't like the situation that the Bears are in. They really have not made very good moves this offseason. People up there are upset with everything going on. You know, they've made it clear that they're looking to move on from Mitch Trubisky. They got Nick Foles coming in there, who wasn't exactly a superstar in Jacksonville. I mean, I know he got hurt pretty terribly, but I don't know how much pressure you can put on Nick Foles to be that guy 16 weeks out of the season. I just don't. I just don't, man. I think. What's up?
Is Nick Foles the guy?
I mean, I guess they're going to have to figure it out. It will be a positional battle, but I think, honestly, dude, if I had to pick a winner in camp, I'm picking Nick Foles over Mitch Trubisky because Trubisky's just ass. Like, that guy sucks.
That's their quarterback. That's their quarterback room. I know it's Nick Foles, Trubisky, and they don't have a third.
That's it, right? Yeah, that's it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys this: do you think we see Trubisky or do you think we see Nick Foles? I know, Rhett, you said probably Nick Foles, right?
I'm thinking.
I'm guessing Nick Foles.
Yeah, because it's interesting because I love how all off season the Bears were like, hey, Trubisky's our guy, man, and then they just decline his 5th-year option.
Yeah,
which is okay. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I guess he is your guy, huh? So, man, this Bears team is like hanging on by a thread, and that thread's their defense.
Yeah.
Like their quarterback play is wasting Khalil Mack's career. And I feel so bad for Khalil Mack because he's so
and he's been nothing but a stud since he got there too. Like there really hasn't been any decline with Khalil Mack, bro.
Right. He's still just consistently just insanely good. Be it Trubisky or be it Nick Foles, and we played Nick Foles last year. That didn't go well for Nick Foles. Right. That was really bad when he was on the Jaguars, and I feel like whichever quarterback we play, I think the Bucs will win this. I've got him at 4-1 right now, so we're certainly doing some good. And I know last time we played Mitchell Trubisky, that didn't go well. That did not go well at all for us. We got destroyed. But it's a new defense, a lot of new pieces.
As long as Mike Smith is far, far, far away from Tampa, I think we should have a chance against the Bears this time.
Yeah, right. I agree with that, man. So I think, they have some pieces, David Montgomery, some other guys as well. I know their defense, Adrian Amos, like I said, Khalil Mack's a beast. I know some of their inside linebackers are really good. Same with the defensive line. But I don't think this Bears offense is good enough to really complement that defense enough for them to be a competitive team, and I think that's really going to hurt them. And I think they try to put like a small Band-Aid on it by saying, hey, we got Nick Foles. And it's like, that's not enough. So I think the Bucs would win this game.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go. I think this game right here, Thursday night, bright lights. I think the game we just had against the Chargers, I think we might have a little bit of a struggle with our rookie, right tackle, Wirfs. And I think the fact that they have a rookie at quarterback helps us win that Chargers game. I think the Bears game, he sees Khalil Mack. Mack sees on tape why he was having trouble. Kind of messes up our game plan. And the fact that they have Nick Foles there, I think Nick Foles starts because they're going to see, we can actually be explosive with Nick Foles. He might not be a great quarterback, but he can be explosive in certain times. He can throw down the field if he needs to. He can make the right plays. It just, depends if he has a bad game or good game. And I think the fact that they have him allows them to pull off an upset against us in Thursday night. I'm going to go with the L on this one. Khalil Mack destroys our rookie right tackle, and he learns from it.
Do you think that they would double up on Khalil Mack?
I hope they do. I hope
you have to. You have to. I think that's going to be the major point of that film study that week is, all right, we need to make sure we stop this guy and this guy only. Kind of, right. Almost the same game plan that I felt like they would have had last year going into the Rams game. I remember everybody talking all week about primary focus number one for these guys on offense is slowing down Aaron Donald, which they ended up doing a pretty good job at, ultimately winning the game. But yeah, you have to, man. You cannot play against the Bears without having some sort of plan for Khalil Mack, because he'll make you pay. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Rhett, what do you feel about this?
This is the first time ever that I feel like I've looked at the Bucs schedule when it comes out and said W. So I want to say that this is going to be a win. I've got some more games they're going to lose, but as of now, this is a win for me. I just, that defensive line of Chicago is looking really good. That defense is a good unit, but I really think where they are as a team on offense, they're still going to be figuring some things out. They really seem like the type of team who would shoot themselves in the foot. And James, as you brought up, not be able to complement that defensive play. Let's say they get a fumble, Khalil Mack comes in for a strip sack. They're set up in the red zone and they come away not scoring a touchdown. Like, that's the type of team that the Bears are right now. So I think it's a dub. I do.
Are you sure? They got like 10 tight ends. I don't know.
I do not know what the Bears GM thinks is a good way to build a team. But he's really making it interesting. He's gonna have
screw it. One of them's got to be able to block.
Right. Exactly.
I tell you, it's just gonna be Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles, and then the rest of them are tight ends out there. And that's it.
Right. All right.
Oh man.
Well, let's go to the next one. Green Bay at home. So Green Bay's coming to Tampa. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead with this one. I think I ain't gonna lie. I think we demolish him. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. You can't say that." I think this is gonna be a bad year for Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers is not gonna be happy, and it's gonna leak into the locker room. It's gonna affect the team. And even if it didn't, even if they did, if Aaron Rodgers was happy, they just haven't done anything. And that defense, everyone was saying last year, they got better. I didn't see it, man. I really didn't. We've seen the 49ers just murder them twice. And whether you want to believe it or not, I think our pass rush is just as dangerous, man. So I don't see them having a chance. Maybe, going into the second half and then we pull away. But I see this as a W in my opinion.
I'm going to disagree, but hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
When the Packers drafted Jordan Love, which I still don't agree with, I think
traded up to get Jordan Love, by the way, not just drafted them where they were. They traded up, fooled everybody, and got Jordan Love. That's the craziest part. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You got to love what the Packers did, by the way, in that draft. They had the best draft ever. Man, but
I got you.
I really feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to look at this and go, you know what? I'm going to destroy everybody. And Aaron Rodgers is going to go on the absolute war path and just say, you guys think you can draft my replacement? You guys think that you're not going to help me out as much? That's fine. I'll do it all myself. Me and Devontae Adams are going to take over the world. And, I think that Aaron Rodgers is just going to say, okay, screw everything, And this is a really good game, by the way. This is a playoff game. This is a playoff game, a playoff caliber type of game. Just seeing Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers at home is going to be freaking amazing. And I really just think that the wrath of Aaron Rodgers will catch the Bucs here. Again, it will be a good shootout, much like what I said earlier in the Saints game. But I think the Bucs will ultimately come up a little bit short in this one. And the Packers will get this win.
Okay.
I am really excited about this game. I think this is the game that I am most looking forward to on the schedule, above Kansas City, above the Raiders game, above the Saints game on prime time. I'm excited about playing Green Bay in Raymond James Stadium. One, because when I think classic Bucs football, when I think about the 90s and early 2000s, the big bad Bucs kicking everybody's ass, I think about playing Green Bay in the NFC Central Division under the lights in Ray J. So when I saw that they were one of our opponents this year at home, I was pleading and praying that it was going to be a Monday Night Football game. Alas, it wasn't. Maybe it gets flexed to be a late game. Who knows? But I would love to see it under the lights. With that being said, James, I think I'm with you, dude. I don't think this is a game that the Bucs are going to win. While the Packers have proved to not be a very good team in the playoffs, they kind of fumble the bag every single year. They're a pretty well-oiled machine during the regular season when Aaron Rodgers is on his game. And when you've got a motivated Aaron Rodgers who is out to prove a lot of people wrong, because who the hell knows, he could be filling out a resume for whatever team he thinks is going to get him after he leaves Green Bay. I just think this is a game where he comes in, he's firing on all cylinders. He does everything right, regardless of how much Tampa Bay does right. I think Green Bay comes out on top. In a very competitive game, though. I think it does come down to the wire. Maybe we see one of those vintage Aaron Rodgers game-winning drives, but I've got the Bucs losing this one because I've got to have them lose a few, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just say, by the way, I'm reading the chat. Don't disrespect my boy Shaq Barrett.
What are they saying about Shaq Barrett?
They're saying Shaq ain't that good. 19 and a half sacks. It's whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with all these moderators you got in here saying like fuck the Bucs and stuff like that.
Where?
Shaq Barrett's my boy, man. Shaq Barrett's my boy. You cannot diss Shaq. He said I see somebody saying Bosa's getting 22 this year, 22 sacks. Second year player getting 22 sacks.
Bosa's a stud, bro, but he's not getting 20 plus. Sorry.
Yeah, he's good. He'll probably get double digit. I mean, he'll get double digit sacks.
He'll get double digits. He'll get 12 plus. He'll probably even get 14 plus. But I think it takes a special player to get that 20 number. You know what I mean? And we don't see those guys very often. We really don't.
Yeah. What I don't understand is why I keep hearing Adams being put in the same status as Mike Evans.
I don't get that either, dude.
I don't know where this is coming from.
I did see you react when I said Aaron Rodgers are going to take over.
I don't get it, man. I don't get that. I mean, maybe Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin. First of all, I think Chris Godwin is way better than a lot of people think. But that's my opinion.
Number one on so many teams.
Yeah.
Dude, he could be a number one on 31 other teams, like a reliable number one.
Chris Godwin is that guy in my opinion, but you can't disrespect Mike Evans. The only reason why I allow debate talk with Chris Godwin is because he don't have his resume is not that long yet, but it will be. But Mike Evans, his resume is long, proven, and is solidified. Like you cannot put him where Mike Evans is at. That's just disrespectful in my opinion.
I will never ever understand the thought process of people who don't see Mike Evans as a top 5 wide receiver. He's top 3 in my opinion. I don't think there's many that are better, but a lot of people don't even see him as a top 5. A lot of people don't even see him as a top 10. Those people don't know shit about football. Let's put it that way. But dude, I think Devontae Adams, I don't think he's in that top 5 conversation. No. I really don't.
The guy's literally never had under 1,000 yards receiving ever.
Yeah,
right.
Ever. I mean, do you
think this year could be the year?
No, because I think Tom Brady's going to love him so much. It's going to be like him and probably Gronk and Godwin.
It'll be hard for him not to have 1,000. And I'm not saying like I'd be surprised if he barely made 1,000. I'd be like, okay, I kind of like I wouldn't be that shocked. But I don't think he would not make 1,000 this year.
Well, one thing I thought was so interesting last year with the Bucs offense is just kind of like you saw how big of a difference it was where like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they're all the way up at the top. And then there's everybody else who's like so much further down, and I feel like you can probably add Gronk up into that top 3 who's getting like a crap ton of targets, and like I'm not going to say that all 3 of those guys are going to get over 1,000 yards, but I do think that he'll still maintain it. Because I think Tom Brady's just going to love him right away.
Bold follow-up question about the offense. You talked about multiple guys getting 1,000 yards, which I think is totally possible. Do you think any one of our tight ends gets over? Because I wanted to say 1,000 yards, but I don't think that's super realistic. I'm looking at touchdowns here. Do you think any of our tight ends gets over 8 touchdowns on the year?
Our tight ends get over 8?
No.
Yeah.
No, because of Gronk.
I'm gonna say like, especially, I mean, all 3 of those guys are red zone threats: Gronk, OJ, and Cam. So I feel like Brady's just going to split it up so much,
Yeah.
And then with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin there too, it's just kind of like they're all physical. Every single one of them is so big and physical. It's kind of like it's just going to be spread out a ton. I do think though that Gronk, he'll probably get at least 700 receiving yards. I want to say 750 maybe, and I still think Chris Godwin and Mike will still be close. Probably 1,000 or above.
I think if one of our wide receivers doesn't have, one of our being Chris or Mike doesn't have 1,000 yards, then I think one of our tight ends is. I think we definitely having two people who are going over 1,000, maybe a third that's close to it. So I think we're gonna be, man, especially when we get clicking, it's gonna be nasty. One more thing I wanted to say about the whole Davante Adams or not even Davante Adams, but just Mike Evans not being a top 5. There's a problem that I just wanted to show a light I wanted to shine on you guys, as far as things that I've always said. As far as I've always said that Gerald McCoy, in my opinion, was like a top defensive tackle, and a lot of people would be like, no, because of this person, that person. And I always felt like there's always, you have Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, right? Everyone will say, okay, that's 1 and 2, however you want to put it. That's 1 and 2 wide receivers. And then they will name 2 other wide receivers that'll had a better year than Mike Evans, and then Mike Evans will be 5, or you know what I'm saying? He'll be like number 5. But yet those 2 wide receivers that had the better year won't have the better year than Mike Evans the next year. They just happen to have that year.
It's kind of like people like throwing OBJ into top 5 wide receiver.
They don't want to get over that.
He doesn't consistently. He isn't putting a top 5 resume on the table. Last year, Cleveland, they came out, they shit the bed. They weren't the team that people thought they were going to be. And OBJ, I've never been a huge fan of the guy, to be honest with you. I think he's not as overrated as Davante Adams, but I definitely think he's just blown up a little bit. I think a lot of what people cling to is that catch.
Right.
It put him on the map. And I'm not saying he's not productive. I think in the right atmosphere, he can be a top wide receiver in the league because he's shown us glimpses before. But in Cleveland last season, don't even mention him in the top 5 because he didn't show it last year. I got to see something different before I start to believe in him again.
The man is undeniably one of the most talented wide receivers ever to play the game, period. Like, he's just talent alone, he's one of the best. Odell Beckham. But when do you just say, yeah, he's talented, but it's also wasted? Like, it is what it is. If he's not having those seasons, I mean, Mike Evans ain't gonna let no quarterback, no team stop him from getting 1,000 yards. That's what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? He don't let a rookie Jameis stop him. He don't let Mike Glennon stop him. He don't let Fitzpatrick. He don't let nothing stop him from making his production. So when do you stop giving Odell Beckham the excuses? It is what it is. He is the production he's putting out there. Just let's.
I mean, just real quick thing about this. Like Mike Evans made Johnny Manziel basically a first-round draft pick just by being just a phenomenal receiver at Texas A&M. Then he came in, got 1,000 yards with a combination of Josh McCown and Mike Glennon. And I love my boy Mike Glennon, but then, Jameis Winston, and that's a big debate as who makes who. I just think given the history of how Mike Evans has worked with quarterbacks and have, done some really good things with different guys in the past, I think you could make a strong argument that, like, Mike Evans really helped out Jameis Winston a lot. So it's just the guy doesn't stop. He's literally on this historic pace,
Mike Evans is one of those guys. I'll leave it at this. He is, in my opinion, I think he's the most reliable wide receiver in the league. Because he's a guy that if you're a quarterback like Jameis, where you sling it 50 times a game, there's a few of those throws where Jameis is like, all right, F it, somebody's going to get it. And Mike Evans is that guy who's going to go up there and get it. Like, he is, when it comes to contested catches, he's a receiver and a half. Because when you see a corner jump up to fight for that ball, 99% of the time, Mike Evans is going to come down with it. That 6'5" lanky frame. I mean, he is just reliable, and he's one of those guys that can make something out of nothing. If it's a bad throw, if it's a little bit overthrown, the fact that he's as big as he is and as agile as he is, he can go up there and get it. He's a physical guy, fights for yardage, so I think he's reliable as hell. And I won't say he's made some quarterbacks, but the argument could be made.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get to the next game, which is here in Vegas against the Las Vegas Raiders, which is still weird to say.
Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football.
Right. It is a prime time. It is a prime time game.
The first of three. This is because you've got Sunday Night Football, and then you've got the Giants, I believe, on Monday night, and then you've got the Saints on Sunday night again.
Yep.
Well, this game, I'm not too fond with AFC teams. Period. This John Gruden being over there, and they don't know what quarterback they're going. I mean, they don't got nothing. They got what? Carr, Mariota. Is that it?
I think do they still have Nathan Peterman or something? I don't know.
I think they do. I think
they got that boy. No, actually, I don't know if they have Nathan Peterman on the roster anymore, but they got my boy Carl Nassib, and he's going to earn his starting spot over there. He's going to make him some money, man.
Carl Nassib's over there. That's my guy. Yeah,
that's right. I can confirm they do have Nathan Peterman.
They do?
Okay.
Yes,
all right, cool.
Okay.
I'm glad I was wrong. Glad they still have the greatest of all time on their roster.
Definitely the greatest of all time.
The biggest deal about this team is their third string horrible quarterback.
Hopefully I'm at this game.
They got Jason Witten too.
No, they got Jason Witten?
I did not know that.
Do they?
Yeah, I think they do. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yes, they Nick Bowers. Yeah, holy crap, they do.
Yeah. They got Jason Witten.
Okay.
Bro, Jason Witten's still sneaky as hell. I didn't even know he played for Las Vegas.
Yeah, wow. I did not. I thought he retired again.
I thought, that was a shocker right there. Doesn't change how I feel, but
that 39-year-old tight end's gonna kill us.
Yeah, let me change up my answer. No, I think the Raiders. Look, I think Gruden's still trying to feel. I think Gruden's feeling himself. Still, they don't know what they're doing at quarterback. I don't care who they pick at quarterback. I'm not afraid of any of those guys at quarterback. And the other thing is, I never really thought Derek Carr was that bad of a quarterback. I thought he was pretty decent, but now it's just like, I don't know. Is Gruden messing up Carr? Like, is he hurting Carr? Some quarterbacks are not good with the whole yelling thing. That's why I thought Jameis would be perfect over there, because Jameis likes to be yelled at and likes to be coached hard. I don't think that's Carr. And I kind of think he's messing him up. I just think that's a ship that's just sinking, man. It's just going to sink more and more the longer that John Gruden's there. I think we take the dub. I just, by this time, we're hitting on all cylinders, feeling good. Maybe if we have some injuries that really cost us, this might be a closer game, but I don't see nothing.
I think the Bucs can take the win in this game, but I don't know if the Raiders are a team that I'm ready to write off just yet. I think there's a lot of pressure on Gruden, obviously, but you look at the team they're putting together. There's a lot of guys that play for Las Vegas that I just kind of forget played for them. Like, they got Nelson Aguilar. You know what I mean? They got stone hands Nelson Aguilar, but regardless, they've still got an athletic wide receiver. I'm not saying they're going to be a great team, but I think they're one of those teams that could play above a lot of people's expectations. But when it comes to this game, where we are in the season, we're about at the halfway point. So we're going to know what kind of team they are, if they're on playoff pace, whatever the case may be. So I do think the Bucs take the dub, but they're going to be an interesting team to watch this year. I'm excited because, as much as we talk about Gruden and if he's doing good or bad things for Raiders fans love him. I know I'm still a John Gruden fan at heart. He got us a Super Bowl. What more do you want from the guy? Right. I hope he does well. I genuinely kind of hope that the Raiders come around and they're one of those teams that can compete. But I got the Bucs taking this one.
Bucs and Raiders at the next Super Bowl.
Oh man, hell yeah!
I'm gonna go Bucs too. I'm looking at this roster. You guys have got me curious. And there's just not a ton of guys. Like, okay, I will say their offensive line is pretty decent. Okay. And they have a good pair of safeties. But after that, and they have Josh Jacobs, and they did draft Henry Ruggs, and they have Tyrell Williams.
Well, that's what it is. It's a lot of guys that
it's a lot of guys who used to be number twos.
Well, if they can, Josh Jacobs, if he can pick up off of last year, bro, he's going to be a top running back in the league again. If Henry Ruggs can really play well, that first round potential, they're going to have two fairly talented wide receivers. There's a lot of guys where if they could take that step, this could be a scary team, but it's really it's a big wild card.
Yeah. So I just don't think it's enough right now. There's so many question marks. That's just everything. Wild card is the perfect way to describe it. You don't know how this team's going to do. You don't know what John Gruden's ever going to do. I still think that them getting rid of Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack was so bad. So bad. Yeah. But hey, that's what they do, and that's John Gruden sometimes. And, like what you said, Rhett, I'm a John Gruden fan, and I don't think they're going to win this game, but I do want to see them still do some interesting things. For example, I want to see Carl Nassib finally get double-digit sacks or something like that. I think that'd be a cool thing. We'll see if that can happen, but they're just kind of a middle of the pack team right now. They don't have a lot that makes me go, at least on paper, it could change, but on paper, it's just okay. It's an 8-8 team,
Most likely. You got a dub as well.
Yes. Yep.
For the record, I love John Gruden. I just happen to think he's kind of past his time. He's kind of doing things that
he's getting that check, man. He's getting that check.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he is.
Let me ask you guys this. How much time do you think John Gruden has left until he's really, really do you guys, one, do you think he's on the hot seat now? And two, if you don't think he's on the hot seat, how much time do you think he has until he's on the hot seat?
This season is a lot of pressure on him. I don't think he's quite on the hot seat yet. But let's say the Raiders miss the playoffs at the end of the year. They go 9-7. I don't think that would put him in the hot seat, to be honest with you. If they make the playoffs, he's obviously going to play out the rest of that long-ass contract if they keep making the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
But when you talk about how much time he's got left as a whole, as a head coach, dude, I think he's got another 8 to 10 seasons. I think he could really coach out the rest of that long contract if he wanted to. But I don't know if he's on the hot seat quite yet, but this is a big prove-it year for them.
Yeah, I guess sorry, I was more referring to if he wasn't on the hot seat now, how much time do you think it would take before he's on the hot seat?
Oh, I got you. I'll give it a season. Yeah, I'll give it this season, maybe the end of next season if they aren't performing.
I honestly don't think there will be a hot seat for him. I think this is one of those what was homeboy's name? The coach for the Bengals, Marvin Lewis. I think this is one of those situations. I think the owner, is infatuated with John Gruden because of his dad. And I think he's just completely trusting in Gruden and completely if Gruden's no, we're almost there. I think he's just going to continue. Okay, we'll see.
It's looking at the situation in rose tinted glasses. You know what I mean? This man can do no wrong.
Right. Basically.
I mean, Johnson's basically partial owner of the team anyway at this point. I mean, he's making $10 million per year for the next 7 years or something like that.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Well, let's we good for this week?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get to the next one. New York Football Giants in New York. Nice.
Yeah. This one's interesting, man.
What is there another prime time or?
Yeah.
Yes, it is Monday Night Football.
Oh,
Monday Night Football versus
I hope we whoop that ass. The Giants are another one of those teams on the schedule that I've just got an extra hatred for. One, because for all intensive reasons, we should have beat them last year. That was a dub down to the final seconds. You know what I mean? It just such a sad game, such a sad display, and so sad to see the Bucs play the Giants in our stadium. And you see more blue in the seats than you see red. Yeah, obviously, that's looking to change this year as we've got all the transfer Massachusetts, New England fans. But I really hope they just kick the shit out of the Giants. I hate this team, man. I do. So I got a dub. I really do. I don't think Danny Dimes is as good as people write him off to be. I think he had a good game last year against a defense that was just used and abused, that they found an exploit in, and they attacked it for the rest of the game. That second half, all they did was attack that defense in the weak spot. So we're playing them a little bit later in the season this time. I hope this defense is rolling, and I hope they get 5+ sacks, because I just I hate the Giants, man. I really do.
Yeah. I agree, man. We should have won. And we were still in a part where our defense was struggling, like what you were saying. And once the defense got on, like, that game would have never happened that way. Like, once the defense got going on, like, it got going. So I agree. I think this is going to be a win. I think that the Giants team, they have their first-year head coach, Joe Judge, I think is his name. He's another disciple of Belichick.
Right.
Disciples of Belichick don't seem to do that great in their first years. It takes them time, and they always seem to just import a ton of Patriots guys, and it doesn't really work out that well. So I don't know, man. I think that trend's going to continue. I think this Giants team, well, they do have some interesting pieces. I don't think it's enough yet, and I still think, Daniel Jones still needs a little bit more time to develop, and I think the Bucs will get a win here.
I agree. I think this is a dub. I really don't. Same thing with the Panthers. They don't know what this coaching staff is going to be like. What they're going to, like you said, he comes off the Belichick tree, and you were saying that they usually don't right away do good. I don't know if any of the Belichick coaches ever do good. So just with that alone, it feels like they're doomed. But I won't say that. I did like the draft. I did a video about the NFC East draft picks. I did like the draft they had. They had some good drafts. Dave Gettleman, their GM, who used to be the GM for the Panthers, did their draft. Had a very Dave Gettleman type of draft. I think it was pretty good. Their defense could definitely be better this year. What is this, year 2 for Danny Dimes?
Yep. Second year.
So he got his first NFL action against the Bucs.
Yeah, he did. I hope it's payback.
Oh, no.
I want Matt Gay to not miss a single kick.
Bro. I want him to make a 55-yarder just because.
I hope he demolishes the competition at training camp, Matt Gay, because I don't think I'll be happy with anything else besides that. But I think this is a win. Bright lights. Like I said, they got a lot of pieces. Probably most likely on defense is going to be starting to bright lights and all that stuff. I don't know if they're ready for that. Plus, I have no idea what their coaching staff. I don't see them winning, so I see us taking that dub right there as well.
Yeah.
All right. And we go to next week, which is another primetime game, and it's at home against the New Orleans Saints. So our second game for this team. What you say happens?
It's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah. This is gonna be a good game.
If I had to guess, man, around this time of the season, it's week 9. They're playing under the lights. I think it's gonna be like one of those defensive battles. It seems like the Bucs and the Saints always have those games where they kind of go back and forth. They've got one game a year where it's a huge shootout. They got another game where it's just kind of a drag for the first half. The two defenses playing really well. I think this is going to be more like the latter. I think it's going to be a defensive game under the lights. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. These teams are starting to get tired. You're at that over the halfway point of the season, looking for that bye week that you don't get for another, 4 or 5 weeks at this point. So it'll be interesting, but I think I might have the Bucs losing this one. The games that I have the Bucs dropping are mostly at home. I said earlier, I think they can come out, take advantage of a Saints team that always plays bad beginning of the season. I think they win the first matchup. I don't think we sweep New Orleans. I think they lose this one.
All right.
I'll have them winning because I had them losing week 1, and I don't think the Saints will sweep us. Also, I don't want to see that scenario of Jameis Winston taking a knee at home.
Oh God,
that would kill me.
Jay, that would be the worst.
In a Saints uniform,
Oh my God,
my mind can't handle that right now. So I'm gonna give them the win, but also just thinking about it, if the Saints were to win Week 1, obviously the Bucs are gonna say, okay, this is prime time. This is in our stadium. We're not gonna lose to you again. And I do like that idea that you were saying, Rhett, of kind of like, yeah, there's gonna be a defensive battle, and definitely be more of an efficient game from both defenses, and really just kind of take what you can get, So I think it'll be definitely a close game, but I think the Bucs will win in the end.
If Jameis takes that kneel down, I mean, that'll be us right there. That's it. But I think we win this game. I think we're hitting on all cylinders, right? We're in the middle of the season already. We got everything going. The offense is clicking, defense is doing its thing. Obviously, once again, if injuries happen, then we can't predict any of that. But I think we're good to go. The main thing about it is this is Tom Brady. Okay, I think he looks at the tape. If that defense did do good against us Week 1, I think Tom Brady sees it all on the tape. Okay, I see what they were doing. I see what I was doing wrong. I see what I could take advantage of, and I think it's a wrap. And I think we win this game and send me to work very, very happy. So I think it's a big dub that we really need, and this is a dub that's going to tell everybody like, okay, they are contenders. All these other teams, okay, it is what it is, but once they beat the Saints, okay, they're contenders, they're serious, they're making their push now. Here we go. And that's what I think happens here.
Yeah, I agree.
Next week, November 15th against the Panthers. Once again, back-to-back. I don't see why they keep doing that. But
this game actually falls on my birthday.
Really?
Directly. Okay. Yeah, I wish it was a home game. That would have been a good way to spend a birthday.
That would be awesome. How do you feel?
Well, unless they lost. I think I went to one game for my birthday and we lost, and I have never hated life more. But I do think they're going to win. And I know, like, giving them a lot of wins, but they're kind of going all in here, I'm keeping track. I've got them at 8-2 right now. But I do think they're going to win, much like what I said. And I know it's like, oh, sweep the Panthers. What the heck? But I'm really not that confident that the Panthers are going to be like an insanely competitive team. I think they can be a 500 team, 7-9, 8-8, maybe 9-7 team. But I just don't think they have enough pieces. They've lost too much to really make it say like they're going to be super competitive the entire year.
I think, just like you said, man, I think the pieces are not there. I think they're still going to be figuring it out. So I think we sweep Carolina this year. I do. So that's a dub.
I agree. I think we sweep them. I think this game actually might be a little more competitive because maybe they find their groove a little bit, see kind of their identity of what they're good at doing. I think it's the sweep. It's on a different level right now. Right now, they're trying to find out who they are, what as not even just a team, but as a coaching staff, as the owner of this team. Like they just trying to see what they want to do, how they want to look. They got so much to figure out. I just think we're on a we're contending right now, and that's just not going to help them at all. So I think that's another dub right there. Then we go back home. Are we good on this week?
Yeah.
All right, we go back home.
Yeah, I think so.
And against the Rams, Los Angeles Rams. That logo is so stupid. God.
Bro, I'll be honest. I really thought it was the Chargers for a second, just looking at the logo.
And that's another thing. It always confuses me. I mean, that's sad.
When I first saw it, bro, especially when they like unveiled it with the actual colors, the official team colors, it wasn't the leak of the hat. I immediately thought of the Tampa Bay Storm. I don't know if you ever watched arena football, but the Tampa Bay Storm, I mean, those guys were where it was at. Multiple-time Arena Bowl champions. With some respect on it. But yeah, bro, that was the first logo I thought of, and it brought me back to arena football. But that's what it looks like. It looks like arena football, XFL, and I mean, we haven't seen their uniforms yet either. So maybe they just made a horrible mistake, and they're trying to fix it before they unveil those uniforms. Who knows?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But is their team terrible? How do you feel about this Los Angeles Rams team?
They're falling into a hole, man. They're like they aren't paying people. Todd Gurley hasn't gotten his money yet. Clay Matthews said he didn't get his money yet. Like they're paying the price for going all in the way that they did 2 years ago. And that's just kind of where they are. I think Sean McVay is still a hell of a head coach. I think they're going to have some competitive games this year. I don't know if they're going to surprise people, but I think they can win. Honestly, if they have a good year, I think they can win 8-9 games. But I think it'll be competitive. But I think this is a win for Tampa Bay. I just don't think LA. I just don't think they have the pieces. Like I said, man, I can't say it any better. They're paying the price for going all in a few years ago, and hopefully the Bucs aren't in this same situation 2-3 years from now. But yeah, I think LA is falling apart.
Okay. You want to go, or I'll go real quick. Yeah. I completely agree. This is exactly what a lot of football fans who really pay attention to salary cap and stuff like that. This is exactly what all the football fans were saying when they were signing Aqib Talib and Peters and everybody. Like, we all saw the same thing. They're going to be crapping the bed in a few years. They better execute and get that Super Bowl, because they're throwing all their eggs in the basket, and it's gonna come back and bite them. Something that
they were that close.
Yeah,
man.
they were. That's what really got to hurt, is they actually were there, and it was close.
They made it to the big dance, but they couldn't finish it against Brady.
Exactly. They've got to be hurting right now, seeing how it's all coming together, or falling apart. I should say, not coming together. I agree. The head coach, he's not a bad head coach. I think right now he's going to be struggling with the different obstacles that he's going to be coming through with the salary cap and all that stuff, that they'll find a way to get out of there. I don't know how the Saints do that every year, but
cap is a myth, bro.
Yeah, it really seems like it.
I'm convinced that it doesn't matter at the end of the day. If these teams want to make something happen, they're going to make it happen.
Yeah, so they'll find a way to do what they got to do to make some wiggle room. As far as the team, I will say this: I think the days of the high-powered offense and all that stuff, I think all that has come down. I say that about a lot of teams. At KC, I think it'll happen to KC eventually. I don't know if it'll happen this year. I think it'll happen to Ravens eventually. I don't know if it'll be this year. But every team that has that high-powered offense, if you don't watch them and say that weapon is it, then it's the system. And if it's the system, eventually the NFL is going to catch up to it, and they'll slow it down somehow. And I think that's also what we're finding out now. I know they did get some injuries last year, so a lot of people are talking about that too, like, oh, they were hurt, that's why, blah blah blah. But I think personally that it's a little bit of the injury situation, but I think a lot of it is the fact that teams are understanding how to slow down Jared Goff and his reading down the field and stuff like that. I think we pull out a win here. I don't think it'll be an easy game, obviously. I think they might be a lot more healthier this year, so it might be a little bit more difficult, even though it wasn't easy last year either. But this ain't the same team for us. But I think we pull out a win here. I think we pull out a win here at home, and close and a good game. But I think we pull it off. James,
like what you said. Well, the Rams are going to be getting calls from the IRS, man. Okay, they've got problems. I don't know what's going on with them. They're not paying guys. They're releasing guys. Their offense took some big hits. They got rid of Brandon Cooks. They got rid of Todd Gurley. Holy crap, They've got a little bit of poison on that team too. Jalen Ramsey's there, and he's good, but man, does he have attitude issues.
Good point.
And that's just kind of another thing of them being like, okay, we got to do anything we can to win. And it's just like, I feel like it's probably over at this point. It's like you gave out all this money, and now like you have to start backtracking really hard. Really hard.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
It just, you look at the situation they put themselves in, man, it sucks, because not only do they have to pay out all of these guys who are no longer on the team, but it really just seems like they've discounted their future. Like, there isn't a whole lot that they've been able to do to put some guys in there, through the draft class this year. They didn't have a lot of picks. They don't have a lot of picks moving forward. It's just, it's a really bad situation to be in if you're talking about building a better team for the future, because they don't seem to have the means right now to get anyone in there that could help them out who's a fresh face in the NFL.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if it's Sean McVay's fault, the head coach. I don't know if he's saying to the GM, like, hey, I want Jalen Ramsey, and hey, get me these guys, and let's play this guy a ton of money. I don't know if it's the GM, like, I don't know if it's Sean McVay's fault or the GM's fault, but like somebody messed up pretty bad, okay? In terms of just saying, like, screw it, just forget everything, forget the future, the immediate future, the long-term future does not matter. And I feel like they're really going to hit a period here where they're going to be suffering pretty bad. And I think that starts this year. While they will probably still be like maybe a 500 team, maybe a little bit above 500, I think they've lost too much and they're just bleeding out too much in terms of money, in terms of losing talent and not being able to replace that talent necessarily. They still have some good pieces. Aaron Donald's still on that team, but I just think that, things aren't going to go well for them. And, I'm going to say the Bucs win here.
Now, real quick, I got a question. We know that they've messed up their future or whatnot, and they're kind of in a bad situation right now. When they did what they did, as far as, let's sign this player, let's bring this player, let's bring this player, we all said, okay, they're putting all their eggs in one basket. They're going for the Super Bowl. They're trying to, shoot their shot right now.
Right.
Now that they're in the situation that they're in right now, do they do the smart thing, take it in the chin for a few years and hold back? Or do they continue to start mortgaging more future to try to continue to contend and just continue to dig themselves deep? You get what I'm saying? Do they just sit there and say, you know what, let's just ride out these rough years that we're about to have? Or do they say, you know what, let's, give me this and then we'll give you this and we'll give you that and you give me this, and they just, like a fiend, keep going back and keep just getting worse and worse?
I almost have to believe that there is a person in the building for the Rams organization who has the state of mind where they've almost dug themselves into too deep of a hole. I really don't think they have a lot to give to where they would gain something that helps them out of the situation that they're in. I think they do exactly what you said and just kind of take it on the chin for a few years, save up on draft picks, get some good stock where you can. But I think they really need to start building towards the future now. I think it would be stubborn of them to try and think that they can compete and win, 10, 11, 12, 13 games this year. I don't think it's possible. You never know. The Rams could be one of those teams, just like Las Vegas I had mentioned earlier, that come out and surprise people. But I don't know, man. I don't think they can do it. And I think for their sake, it would be wise to kind of just look towards the future and take what's coming to them. It'll suck. As Bucs fans, we've been there before, but sometimes it's what you got to do.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's going to suck, because if you do just sit there and take it on the chin, then you got a very young quarterback just wasting his years, wasting his years. And then if you don't, it just, I don't know.
Well, maybe if they do take it on the chin for a couple of years, Goff might not be the quarterback there anymore,
True. He might be one of the casualties. True.
Very true. And like what Rhett was saying, they can't keep on just saying, let's just trade all the draft picks. Let's just trade away everything. We'll be fine. Because then they're just going to have like a few guys that they drafted, and then the rest are just free agents or players they traded for, and that's not a way to build a team for long-term success. You've got to have good drafts as well.
Right.
So I think that, I think they are going to hit a point where somebody's going to say, guys, maybe we should stop trading away our first rounders.
Yeah. That'll hopefully, I know if you're a Rams fan, you're hoping that happens. This gotta suck for the draft to come around, and you're just like,
it's just like, I'm not watching the draft this year again.
All right, well, let's get to the next game, a game that a lot of people want to see, Kansas City, and they're coming to us. Right? Tampa, big game. A lot of people want to see it. MVP versus MVP. Wait, Brady's been MVP, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Three times, I think.
The GOAT versus the future GOAT, and you know how they're setting this up.
They're billing this
old
already.
Face of the NFL versus the new face of the NFL. You know how they're doing it.
Defending Super Bowl champions.
Right. high-powered offense versus high-powered offense. That's the truth. How do you guys see this game going?
I'll start here. You know, I don't think they're gonna win. But I do think it's gonna be
bombs.
You know, and I don't think they're gonna win. I think that, geez, this Chiefs team is something else, you know. And as much as I'm not saying we're gonna get demolished. I think that we're gonna be close every game. But you know, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't even remember who they lost. They did not lose a lot of people. They were able to.
They had was it them? I believe it was the Chiefs. They had said something on NFL Network about they were the one team that kept the most out of all the starters of all the other teams. They brought a lot of their starters back. I think it was only like 5 or something like that didn't come back, or it might have been even less. It was something that I was like, wow, like
yeah,
dang. It was something.
Yeah. So just like that's a big factor of it. Their defense is still really good. Patrick Mahomes is still a beast. Tyreek Hill is still a really good wide receiver. Travis Kelce is still a really good tight end. You know, this team really it's just good. They're defending Super Bowl champions, you know?
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting. This I could see being a passing shootout, you know? I think last year, the second half of last year, when the Bucs offense was just being phenomenal and their defense was being good as well, like it reminded me a lot of the Chiefs. And if you go back and you look at the stats of like the second half of the Bucs year and then obviously the Chiefs year, it really lined up where you had like a pretty decent defense, not so much of a run game, but a really good passing game in terms of yards and touchdowns and stuff like that. And that just to me says we're going to have a passing shootout, you know? And you know, while we do have a good team, I think just the Chiefs are going to take the win here, you know, just after a really hard fought game. This could be a potential Super Bowl game, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you, James. I think this is a game that I've got the Bucs taking the loss on. Defending Super Bowl champions, you got a very high-powered offense with KC. Patrick Mahomes, he's going to come out, continue to do his thing, barring any injury. The guy is a freak. He's going to show it time and time again. I think he's just going to get better. I do think it is a game that comes down to the final drive, though. I think whoever has the ball last is going to win this football game, whether it's a Brady game-winning drive, whether it's Pat Mahomes setting up the game winner. I think it will come down to the wire, but I've got the Bucs losing this one. I've got them losing most of their games at home, and this is just another one of those. So I've got KC coming out on top.
Okay. I'm you know, this is one of those games where everyone who's not a Bucs fan watches people talk about and say, let me see if they say that their team's going to beat them. You know what I'm talking about. Let me see how much of a homer they are.
Do you remember, I hate to cut you off, but do you remember when Philly had just won the Super Bowl? They came to Tampa Bay to face Fitzmagic, and all the cocky Philly fans, they were calling into like Bucs insider shows talking about, you don't know what's going to happen when you play the Super Bowl champion Eagles. And first play of the game, Deshaun Jackson, bomb. As much as I hate Deshaun Jackson, he was a star of that game. And that was just such a good feeling, shutting all those people up.
I was so happy about that game. That was before I realized that I was about to be mad because a whole bunch of people were going to be like, oh, Fitzpatrick should be our starter. And I was like, why can't we just enjoy it, man? Just enjoy that Fitzpatrick is doing his job. Like, God. But anyways, I loved that game. I called that game too. I made a video and I was like 3 points off on our side of on our points and 3 points off on the other team's points. So I was like dead on that game. I called that game dead on.
I love it.
But this game, look, I have to agree. I'm gonna give us a loss again. There's gonna be some losses. I would not be surprised. You know how the NFL season is. You know, you lose a game you could have sworn you were going to win, and you win a game you could have sworn you were probably going to lose. So I wouldn't be like, oh, my God, I can't believe we beat the Chiefs. But I think we're going to take a L. I think our defense is going to be tested in this game, obviously. I don't know if any other team will be able to test us like this as far as a quarterback that's going to be able to buy time. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers don't have the same type of weapons like KC has. And I think, with Tyreek Hill and the speed and just, what Mahomes doing what he does, I just think this will be a learning situation for our young defense. I think they'll understand, like, okay, we were used to our pass rush getting there right away. We were used to us having to cover this amount, then being able to turn around and either pick the ball off or tip it or whatever. But now it's like we cover for what we think it's covered. We turn around and then all of a sudden we turn back around and that guy's gone that we were covering because there's still time and Mahomes is still making time in the pocket. So I think there's just going to be some learning curves going on here for our defense. I think when it's all said and done, it'll be a shootout. We'll probably lose this game. This is a big game I don't want to lose because it's going to be another one of those. Well, let's see if they're contenders. Let's see if they really can do it. So I don't want to lose this game, but I think we'll probably lose this game, and it could be close. It could even be a blowout. I mean, it just depends on what happens that day. I don't think it will be a blowout, though. I think I don't think I buy into their defense as much as everybody else did. Their defense did get better towards the end of the season last year, but like I said, I don't think it could have been just the people that were playing. So we'll see what happens. But I'm taking another L right there for the Bucks.
All right.
Got,
bye week predictions. Do you guys think that we're going to release any former first round draft picks?
Oh, that's a good one to bring up. But I think the Bucks got a real chance to actually beat the bye week this year. I know the joke has been that we always lose to the bye week, but I think we got a real chance to turn the tables and win. But let me say this real quick. If on the schedule Kansas City was swapped with the bye week, if the Bucks got their bye week and then played Kansas City fresh off of it, I think the result would be different. But
good point.
I meant to throw that into talking about the KC game, but that's just an important point. They're going to be tired by the time that this bye week rolls around. But yeah, I think they can win this year against the bye week.
Against the bye week. I'm interested to hear, James, what are you bringing up first rounder releasing?
Didn't we release Hargraves last year on our bye week, or was that just a random week?
Oh, that's where you were going with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking, like, who would we release? Okay.
Who? Is OJ Howard getting cut?
Yeah, Tristan Wirfs, you're just not cutting it, bro. Sorry.
Oh man, that's not even funny. No. Yeah, bye week, man. First of all, I mean, this is what I like to call, or at least I think I'd like to call this the Brady effect. This is Goodell in the NFL saying, we're gonna get you right. I think this is the perfect bye week right here, right? You sit there, you're close to, you got 4 games. That's how I like to look at the season. I like to look at 4 quarters. Every 4 games is a quarter. This is going into the last quarter of the season, the last 4 games of the season. Get as healthy as you can, make that push for the playoffs. And then if you look, I mean, we're not going to skip ahead, but if you're looking at the rest of the schedule, you're like, yeah, that's perfect for us. But I love the bye week being here, right here at the very end, towards the end, week 13.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw a lot of, because I remember when the schedule first came out, I thought, I love this all besides the late bye week. And some people said, well, if we're in the playoff hunt, this is literally perfect.
Right.
Because our guys are going to be even more rested. We'll have that week of rest like so late into the season that it'll be a little bit better. So, yeah.
And it's a really important stretch of games. I mean, the Final Four is always going to be really important if you're making that playoff push. But if the Bucks are playing as well as like we're predicting them to do right here, then we're talking about not only a playoff push, but like the division chase. Who's going to finish first in the NFC South? Because if at this point the Buccaneers have only lost 3 or 4 games, they're definitely still in the conversation. Maybe even less. Because you guys I know predicted differently than I did.
Right.
But if at this point they've only lost a handful of games, they're definitely still in the run for the division. So it'll be interesting. It's a good time though. I think hearing that reasoning kind of leveled me out to come around on this late bye week because I wasn't a huge fan of it at first, but I kind of get the logic and I buy it. I think the timing is good if you're looking at that last stretch of games there.
I mean, if you look at the schedule, the Saints tough. The Panthers are known to be a rough team, but I don't know if that's them anymore. Broncos not really. Chargers, Chicago defensively, they're a rough team. I don't believe in Green Bay. Raiders, no. Giants, they'll be too new in my opinion. So I think the only, maybe the Rams could be by a rough team. I mean, a stronger push you around type team.
Right.
Rams maybe, but the Vikings are definitely a tough hit you in the face type team, and that they're right after the bye, so that's perfect to have the bye, get a little heal up, and then have to face the Vikings that are really tough. They'll punch you in the mouth. They will run on you. I don't know how they'll fly as far as now not having Diggs anymore, but they should be fine offensively. So that's going to be a tough game. But real quick, before we get into the Vikings game, people in the chat room, do me a favor. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. That helps out the channel tremendously. And I appreciate it when you guys do that. Let's go ahead. And also, once again, Cannon Fire Podcast. That's Rhett's YouTube channel, a podcast channel. Go over there, subscribe if you haven't yet. And James with Mr. Buck Nation, that's another YouTube. I'm more than sure that you guys have. So, but if you haven't, go over there and subscribe to the channels. Let's get into the next week with the Vikings. Like I said a little bit about that team. I mean, they're a hard-nosed, punch you in the face. You're gonna have to play for 4 quarters, and they're gonna push you around if you allow them to. Now, we do have the number 1 run stopping defense. That was last year. I really don't expect it to change this year, to be honest with you. I expect us to have the number 1 rushing defense again. Does it change? Maybe a little bit, but I still at least top 5. I mean, I doubt we change anything at all with this.
With retaining that front 7, man, I think that's the expectation. If not number 1, top 5, top 3. Right. These guys got to go out there and do what they were paid to do. Because retaining that front 7, I mean, that was the whole purpose in that. So I have to believe these guys are going to.
You can tell it's a pride thing with them too, which is what I love. You can tell with those guys up front, Sue and William Golston and Vita. It's a pride thing to let everyone know you're not moving us. You know what I'm saying? We're strong. We're one of the strong ones in the NFL, and you ain't running on us like that. We take pride in that. So I'm glad that they have that. You can feel that from them. And it makes me feel like, we're going to do it again, because they're going to make sure that you still not running on us no matter what.
Fufu and Big Girl are a force on that defensive line. Okay, I tell you what. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I will never forget that as long as I live. That was the best.
So, I love it, man. I love the camaraderie that these guys have. It's a good feeling to know that it's just a tight unit. You know what I mean? Like it feels like for the first time in a long time, you've got a defensive line that's just it's just a close, tight-knit group, and I think that's the best thing to build chemistry. These guys enjoy hanging out with each other, joking around with each other. Like, that's great to see, especially from a guy like Sue, who I remember way back when they first signed him, a lot of people were questionable about how he's going to be in the locker room.
Right.
I mean, he's fit right in. He's come in here. He's done his job, and it's a good unit. I like those guys.
Yeah, that's great. So how do you guys feel about this Vikings game against them?
You're gonna be mad.
It's in Tampa.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad. I'm gonna give him the loss here. We're gonna get 2 losses at home for the Chiefs and the Vikings in 3 weeks. This is another one where it's just like, this is a playoff game. I mean, we have some great games this year. And like you said, the Vikings are a tough team, man. Every year,
on both sides of the ball.
They just every year it seems like they're a contender to make the playoffs every year. You got Dalvin Cook. I know they got rid of Stephon Diggs. That'll probably help out Adam Thielen a lot, get more opportunities. Kyle Rudolph as well, who I think some people forgot. Like, Kyle Rudolph used to be a really good receiving tight end until he just literally had to not be a receiving tight end anymore.
Right.
So I think like with a weapon group of like Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, and like Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook's a phenomenal receiving back.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. And Kirk Cousins is a pretty competent quarterback, I think. And that defense is no joke. And they retained a lot of the guys on that defense, except for, I think they lost Everson Griffin, but there's still rumors about him coming back. Daniil Hunter's an absolute beast. They've just got pieces everywhere, and they just always seem to bring in guys who can just contribute right away. I really like their head coach, Mike Zimmer. They're just a tough team. So I'll give them the loss here. I am at 9-4 right now. But I just think it'd be a really tough game.
Yeah. James, like you said, man, this is a playoff atmosphere type game. I mean, not only the time of year that it is, but Bucks are playing it at home. Vikings are a team that they can be tough. And I think they're going to come out and be playoff contenders once again this year. I think they only got stronger. They had a hell of a draft. They're putting a good team together. So I think this will be a competitive game. And I said that I have the Bucks losing most of their games at home. I'm going to give this another L as well. So me and James, we're in the same boat. We've got him at 9-4. I don't think the Bucks are going to have what it takes. I don't know why, but whenever we play Minnesota, we just fall apart. And I can't put it on any one thing in particular, but based off of the past few years, we've just always seen sloppy football against the Vikings. Hopefully that's not the case as they're coming off of the bye week. They've got some time to prepare. It's later on in the season. Totally different team than we were the past few years, but I don't know. I don't know if this is going to go their way. So I've got them losing this one, going to 9-4 on the season.
Okay. Well, me, like I said earlier, this is a real tough team. Offensively, defensively, they're going to test your will. You know, they're going to push up the middle. Again, offensively, defense. It's just a freaking tough team that's going to punch you in the mouth, and you know you're going to be in a fight. Mm-hmm. With that said, I think we're going to beat this team because I just feel like we're perfect for this team. They really have to go through the run game. They really got to go through the run game, and I think that's why we chop that leg off. They're not going to be able to run. We chop that leg off, and I think that the rest of it, they just fall down, and it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I just think we match up perfectly for this team. I think they test our will, and I think we show that we're capable of it, and we pull it off. I think we win this game. So I would have them at 10-3 at this point right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me either way. Like, you guys made really good points. And everybody knows the Vikings they're not a joke. They're a good team you want to play to see how tough your team is. So then we go into the first game of our last division rival, the Falcons, and it's in Atlanta. This is interesting. How you feel about this Atlanta game?
Fuck the Falcons, dude. We're winning this game. We're sweeping Atlanta this year. I hate to jump ahead, but I see no reason that we should lose to the Falcons this year. I don't think Gurley's going to get it done. Hell, at this point in the season, it wouldn't surprise me if Gurley wasn't even playing. You know, Matt Ryan's an okay quarterback, but I don't trust Dirk Cutter's offense to really lead them to the promised land, everything they've got going right now. I know second half of last season, that defense really woke up. Raheem Morris. Did they end up promoting Raheem Morris to defensive coordinator?
I will check on that one second.
Because I remember that they had moved him into a different position on the defense. Coaching staff.
He might be assistant head coach now or something.
Because when he took control of that defense, that's when things started clicking for him. That was the week before we played them. They were stomping while we were getting our asses whooped by the Saints, and OJ Howard was balancing the ball behind his back. They were kicking the hell out of the Panthers. That was the week that they had put it together. Right. But I just really don't see this team being able to compete with us this year. They lost a lot of pieces, and I think we sweep them. So I'm saying this is a dub, and by a good margin, because I hate Atlanta.
Raheem Morris did get promoted to defensive coordinator, by the way.
Okay. I thought I had heard that somewhere. I just wanted to make sure I was correct.
Yeah. I agree. I think we're going to win this game. I think that the Falcons, they do have some interesting pieces, and they're always they're annoying to play. They're probably the second most annoying team in our division besides, the Saints. I think we'll win. Todd Gurley, they lost Devontae Freeman. They do have some interesting pieces on both sides of the ball. I think one of the biggest things for the Falcons holding them back is their coaching staff personally.
Exactly.
We used to have Dirk Cutter, but we saw how big of a mistake that was. And he's their offensive coordinator. And you could just tell how big of a step back they took last year with Dirk Cutter as offensive coordinator. And, and they've had problems with injuries for years. A lot of those guys that they have that are really good, they can't stay healthy. So I think that, we could see a similar year like that where they're just kind of hobbled and their offense isn't as clicking as much and stuff like that. I think the Bucs will win this game.
Yeah, I got to agree with both of you guys. first thing with Raheem Morris, I've been saying this, that I just hope that when Dan Quinn leaves, which I hope he doesn't, when he does leave,
for our sake.
yeah, right, exactly. When he does leave, I hope that he takes Raheem Morris with him. Last thing I want is for Raheem Morris to get another head coaching job and be for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be a great head coach. He was pretty good when he was with us. Some inner coaching staff stuff happened and turned our season around. But I do think if Raheem Morris gets a second chance of being a head coach, he might succeed this time. So I'm hoping that he doesn't get that chance with the Falcons. Go ahead.
I think Raheem Morris tenure as head coach for Tampa Bay, I think he got a sour end of the deal, man.
Yeah, he did.
That 2010 team, 10-6 with the most rookies. I think the record hasn't been broken. I think the most rookies starting on that team. For them to go 10-6 and then get fleeced in the playoffs, that was the first year, well, the only year that I had season tickets. I was at all those games, man. That's one of my favorite Buccaneer teams of all time, is that 2010 team, just because of how underrated they were, man. But yeah, I think if Raheem Morris gets a shot at head coach, he could do good. I'm rooting for him. I like the guy.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I just don't want him to land with the Falcons.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also agree the coaching staff is what's holding this team back. That, and I've been saying this for years too. Their GM Dimitrov is not good in my opinion. I think he has, he'll hit every once in a while, but he has a lot of misses, and I just don't think he understands the pieces that Dan Quinn is needing for his defense, or maybe just Dan Quinn's just not that good. I don't know, but it's all bad. We pretty much handled them the first game last year. We pretty much handled them. We pretty much handled them the second game. If it wasn't for all those missed field goals, we should have been in control of that the second game, the second time too. So, and then, we know what happened in that second game, but, and they really offensively, they really didn't do nothing. If it wasn't for that little trick play that they threw to the offensive lineman, they would have never had a chance in that game. And they still shouldn't have had a chance in that game. So I agree. I think we whip on them. I think we sweep them. Out of all the division teams, I think it's pretty sure that we're going to sweep the Falcons out of all of them. But that's just my opinion. After that, we got December 26 or 27. They don't know yet. Against the Detroit Lions. How you feel about the Detroit Lions?
God, those guys suck too, man.
Yeah.
We saw it last year. The Bucks beat the Lions, and they beat the tar out of the Lions with spare parts.
Yeah,
I know that was the game that we had Chris Godwin the first half, and then he ultimately went down. But I don't think this is a Lions team that's going to get any better. I really don't. Matt Patricia is just not the guy. I don't know why they have kept him around year after year after proving that he can't get that team anywhere. But I think they're going to be a sucky ass team again. And I think for them, this is going to be a meaningless game. I think they'll be out of playoff contention by the time this game rolls around. So for the Bucks, I want to say it is an easy W. I like to think that at the end of the year, they're making that playoff push. They can get a win streak going. You know what I mean? Get a win against Atlanta, come into Detroit, beat them, and then close it out against Atlanta, getting the sweep done for that series. So I've got the Bucks winning 3 in a row, and this is just game 2 out of those 3.
Yeah, I have them beating Detroit too. I've never been a fan of Matt Patricia. Even when they signed him, I was just kind of like, it's not really good. That's not, he's another Belichick disciple, and they don't do good except for maybe Bill O'Brien. But Bill O'Brien never wins in the playoffs usually. So it's just
Bill O'Brien is just losing his mind.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I do want to say, and somebody did just point this out in the chat, was Stafford wasn't there. And that's true.
I didn't mention that.
Yeah, and that is true. Right. You mentioned it too. Stafford isn't there. I just don't think it's going to matter that much.
No, I didn't mention it. I meant to say sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Oh, gotcha. And it's just I just don't trust Matt Patricia. I think the guys he's added aren't making that big of a difference and will continue to not make that big of a difference. They traded away Darius Slay like freaking psychopaths. Don't know why you did that one.
Yeah, he went to Philly, right?
He did.
Yes.
For a second round pick or something.
Jeez, man.
So, it is what it is. I just don't think that they have enough. I think they're a middle of the pack team. Just kind of like how they always been.
Yeah, once again, I think this is part of the what I like to call Brady effect. That the schedulers and Goodell, they know what they're doing, making sure that if we're in that situation where we're in a playoff push, then they give us this little schedule at the end to make sure we get it going. Besides the fact that we have to play the Falcons, play another game, and then the Falcons again, I hate that because it's like we just played the Falcons. But the fact that I feel like they gave us just some easy teams to just make sure we get into the playoffs. I can't be mad at that. So I think we go through the Detroit Lions, and as well, I'm also hoping that, like you had said with the Falcons, not the Falcons, with the Detroit Lions, that like we did last year, beat them with spare parts. Hopefully we do that again, because we don't need to, use some starters or something. We're already, in a good place. So
this is like one of those games on the schedule that it wouldn't hurt if the Bucs are in playoff contention to have Gronkowski sit this game.
Right. Right.
It just use them once
Veteran
or twice.
players,
I mean, have them suit
players.
up, but just, at this point, I think you can beat them with Cam Brayton, OJ Howard, and whoever the third tight end is that they have. I want to assume maybe Anthony Auclair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get to the last one. Once again, right back. Now we're at home against the Falcons. Everyone's saying sweep, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they're not going to lose.
That's it. That's all you got to say about it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, especially since we're just going to win.
Let me throw this out there, man, because we threw out all of our predictions. I've got this team finishing 12-4. And as I said at the very beginning of the live stream, I don't like doing season predictions until right around training camp. You get an idea of who's doing well, who's not doing well, position battles, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
For me as a Bucs fan, and I know for you guys as well who have been around just as long, if not longer, for all the people who have been here watching this terrible Tampa Bay team for 10 plus years, it feels wrong to come out and say that they're going to go 12-4. Right. There's just something in me that's like, no way, bro. You're shooting way above your expectations. So I am going into this assuming that everything goes to plan. But that's the scary thing about this season is, we got Tom Brady. We got the GOAT, baby, 6-time Super Bowl champion. Nobody better.
Right.
But we got 43-year-old Tom Brady. And I think he can still be just as good as he was last year. I think his arm has still got a good amount of juice left in it. I don't believe the people who are saying his arm has died watch Tom Brady. His arm is not what people think it is.
He only threw the ball 10 times less than Jameis Winston last year.
Exactly. Right. This is a guy who can still throw it, just like you said, 10 times less than Jameis Winston, who threw the ball a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I think this team's success, and I'll leave it at this. I'll toss it to y'all. I think this team's success is going to teeter on whether Brady can come in and just pick things up right away. The first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, the adjustment period that has to happen, real game time decisions, it's tough. It's tough for me to believe 110% that we're going to be a playoff team. Now, I know that I just predicted us to go 12-4, but I'm just kind of explaining my reasoning because deep down as a Bucs fan, it feels weird to be confident that we're going to go 12-4. But that's just where I'm at. I think if Brady can come in, do his job, and things just go according to plan, this defense comes out picking up right where they left off. This pass rush, very important. I mean, if they can make it easier on this young secondary that they did not add any veteran presence to over the offseason, I think it can work. But as a Bucs fan, I genuinely have my doubts, and I want to see if you guys feel the same way. It's a weird feeling. I've never felt this before.
It's hard not to. I mean, like you said, as Bucs fans, I think we all know what you're talking about. It's hard not to. Like, this when you talk about the Jameis situation where the Jameis and the Uber situation that happened 2 years ago, and now Jameis, we don't have Jameis for like the first 4 games. Or you talk about the hurricane that happened, so now we get our bye week that we finally had a good bye week smack in the middle of the season. Now that gets taken away, and we got to play 16 straight games. Or Fitzpatrick. I mean, there's just so many things that happens to us that we're just like, of course, of course this happens. So it's. I mean, I completely agree with you. It feels wrong to have you said what you have them at
12-4.
12-4.
Yeah.
I have them at 13-3. And it's just like I'm looking at the schedule like maybe I should have picked the Vikings, or maybe I should have picked maybe the Raiders, or maybe the Packers or the Chargers, or even maybe the Broncos. I should have made them lose because it feels like that's too much. That's too high.
If I gotta make a bold prediction, I think the Bucs are gonna drop a game this year against a team that we just don't expect it to happen, because that's the Tampa Bay way, man.
I mean, I think that happens with a lot of teams, though. That's just NFL.
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, I know that's the Tampa Bay way, but is that the Tom Brady way?
I mean, they lose to the Dolphins. I mean, Tom Brady never sweeps the Dolphins.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? He never sweeps the Dolphins. I mean, it happens all the time. Matter of fact, for the last couple of years, you can say, okay, the Dolphins is a division rival. That doesn't count. Okay. Well, for the last few years, how many times has the Patriots gone against a team and they lose to a team and they're like, see, I knew it. It's over. It's over. The Patriots are done. Like they just lost to so-and-so. Like, it happens. The Philadelphia lost to the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens, man. Every team will have that game where it's like, really, you lost to them. Like, it just.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm the eternal optimistic. I always have overshoot us in terms of our record. So I'm just continuing my streak at this point. So hey, whatever for me. I think I had us at like 10-6 last year. So I'm always overshooting. But I mean, I think this year it's like, I think you can realistically give out like a 12-4 record or more, or, like a double-digit winning record, and that's not crazy, because just look at what they've done. Right. And that's like last year, when you just see and know what this team has done. When you talk about the weapons, okay, we do have it's undoubt we have one of the best weapons in NFL. Like, our weapons are insane. Like, you can't take that away from us. We are constantly in the top 5 in passing yards. You know what I'm saying? Mike Evans is constantly being a beast. Chris Godwin, I don't think no one has doubts that Chris Godwin is going to continue to be a beast. We've seen what we've seen from OJ. We know what we got in Cameron Brate. We know we've seen a lot of glimpses of Rojo. The problem we have is our O-line. Hopefully we got a little bit better. And Rob Gronkowski.
And Grunk, we know what we're gonna have in Grunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, our offense, you know what we have. Like,
I hope to God we have 80% of the Gronk that was winning Super Bowls in New England.
Right.
I think even if we get 80% of a guy who was just retired a few weeks ago, took a season off, lost a lot of weight, didn't lose as much weight as apparently people thought, as he said in his own words.
Right.
But I hope Gronk can work out. Like I said, like, that's just stuff that, in my opinion, it has to go according to plan. Like, if Brady comes out the first 6 weeks of the season and he does not look like Brady, it's going to be weird, because if he doesn't look like Brady, I don't expect us to have a high-powered offense, regardless of the weapons that are there. I know he can get the ball out fast. I know this is a long developing Bruce Arians offense where he's going to have some time to sit in the pocket and hopefully avoid some defenders. But it's just, again, like I said, for me to confidently believe that this team is winning 11 or 12 games this year, everything has to go according to plan. I want to believe. I really do. Tom Brady, greatest of all time, man. Gronk, hell of a tight end. An update over anyone that we had before. But OJ's got to have a good year. A lot of pressure on OJ. I think he's a good player. I think he had a bad season last year. It gets overshadowed by people calling him a bad player. I don't think he's a bad player, but pressure's on him to perform this year. The offensive line, as you brought up, they got to perform. There's just a lot of things that got to fall into place with any team that's going to win in the NFL. It's hard for me to say that I am 100% bought into a playoff season, because I'm a Bucs fan, bro. Like, that's just what it boils down to. I don't want to disappoint myself yet again.
Yeah, I feel you. I will say this though, as far as the things that we're worried about, I'm not worried about Tom Brady. I am honestly not worried about Tom Brady. I watched all the games that he had last year, and it's truly, even though Tom Brady might not be able to make little wide receivers anymore, like be able to, throw it right there. His arm is not to the point where it's pinpoint accuracy and he can throw it exactly where he needs to throw it to make these little receivers get the ball and fit it in anywhere. It might not be there, but he can still throw down the field and he can still throw a wide receiver open, especially if you have some type of size to you. He can throw it to you. I have no doubt that Tom Brady can still be very effective. And again, it's not little receivers no more. Now he got big targets where the throwing what is it called? The catching
catch radius.
Catch radius is way bigger than before because now these guys are big, tall. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different situation. Now, I did say O-line. I am worried about that still. I have to see that. And I am worried about the secondary for a few reasons. You never know with the whole sophomore slump. You know what I'm saying? We know we got a whole bunch of youngsters in that secondary and depth, So besides that, I think those are the only two that I'm really worried about, the O-line and the secondary or the secondary depth, whichever one. Either those two are the only ones that I think is going to stop us. Besides that, I'm really not worried about our weapons. Even if they was to say that we signed Grunk, not even to play for us, but just to teach OJ how to block or OJ how to run the routes the way, the way Tom Brady wants it. I would be happy with that because I think OJ is can be that guy. I really think OJ can be one of the best tight ends in the league. I truly believe that. I just think he needs to learn how to do it the right way. But I'm not worried about our weapons, and it's really the O-line and the secondary for me, and I'm just gonna leave that right there. What about you, Jane? Anything you want to add? Or
yeah, I think one of the biggest appeals to why Tom Brady wanted to come to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because how you were talking about Tom Brady's arm earlier,
right?
And one of the biggest reasons I think he came to Tampa Bay was he took one look at the weapons and thought, okay, this is going to make my job way easier for my age.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe I can get my friend Gronk in here and make it even easier for me to pass the ball.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a big reason as to why, Tom Brady, we all know that. We all know that that's why Tom Brady came here. One of the reasons Tom Brady came here, that and playing for Bruce Arians. I do understand the concerns about the offensive line. Me specifically, I think our interior offensive line is good with, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa. Our tackles got to prove themselves.
That's
year
all
one,
I'm worried about, really.
Yeah. Year one, Tristan Wirfs, that's going to be, he's a rookie, obviously, and he's blocking for Tom Brady. That's going to be a tough job, no matter who you are. And then Donovan Smith still has a lot to prove, and I've seen the theories of the idea of, Tom Brady's going to get the ball out of his hand faster, so it will make Donovan Smith's job easier. That could be true, but that's going to have to be something that we have to see.
Well, let me say this about Donovan Smith real quick, man. I'm not a fan of the guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he had that bad a season last year as people say that he did. He definitely had his lowlights. Cam Jordan kicked his ass twice a year, as he always does, and then proceeded to harass him on Twitter, and he didn't do anything about it. That's, I think, what we can expect from Donovan Smith. But I don't know, man. He's got a lot to prove this year because obviously if he doesn't play well, Bucs don't have to pay him next offseason. Right. So it's a slippery slope. A lot of pressure on him. But I truly think he can step up. I think he knows it is a much bigger responsibility blocking for Tom Brady than Jameis Winston. And I hate to say it that way, but I mean, there is a lot of pressure when you've got the greatest of all time behind you. And if Brady says anything to anyone on the coaching staff about Donovan Smith and doesn't want him there, you bet your ass he's probably not going to be there. So for Donovan Smith, a lot of pressure, but I truly think he can do it. I hope he takes a step and stops making stupid ass mistakes, getting beat by players he shouldn't be beat by. I remember preseason game last year, he got knocked on his ass by Devin Bush, first preseason game. Devin Bush is like 80 pounds lighter than Donovan Smith is, and he knocked him on his butt. So I hope he can take that next step, but I think he does have what it takes to do it.
I hear you as far as what you were saying, that he was a little bit better than people give him credit for. My whole thing was this, that I was watching tape on the Bucks in the offseason, the beginning of the offseason, I thought we still had Jameis.
Yeah.
And the thing I did notice, it wasn't so much of, Donovan was getting beat, or our O-line in general was getting beat and was hitting Jameis. It was something that I noticed about the pocket. The pocket was constantly like small. And I'm talking about, if Jameis was to hold both his hands straight out, he would be able to touch offensive tackle to offensive tackle. He'd be able to touch both of them. Like, the pocket was so small. And Donovan, what I noticed is Donovan would not necessarily attack and punch, but he would like step back and then wait for the guy to come, and then
he'd almost like run alongside him and then just try to shove him at the end. You know what I mean? Get him out of the pocket, get in the safe spot. And
the pocket was just so small, and I'm just like, that, Jameis can't do nothing. All the guy has to do is reach his arm out there, even if he's getting blocked, reach his arm out there and grab Jameis, and that's why you've seen a lot of Jameis getting his hand hit and fumbling. And there was like 2 plays where Donovan was so close to Jameis that Donovan hit the ball out of his hands.
Seattle game, bro. Yeah. That's what I think about. That Jameis fumble, that was all on Donovan Smith. It was not Jameis's fault, because Donovan just basically got backed up right into him and hit the ball out of his hand. And that's another scary thing. You brought up just how the pocket collapses for Tampa Bay. It's usually pretty fast, and it's not a lot of room to work with. And I'm not saying that Brady needs the most room in the world, but he's definitely not Jameis Winston in the pocket. I cannot tell you how many times I was 100% confident when I saw a defensive end get the best out of one of our tackles, head straight for Jameis. I'm like, Jameis is going to juke his ass. He's going to spin around and run for a 10, 15-yard game. We're not going to have that anymore, and it's going to be far less entertaining when that pocket collapses and Tom Brady takes a sack. Hopefully it's not the 5th or 6th on the day, but yeah, it's a lot of pressure on that O-line for sure.
Yeah. Any last words, James? I know we've kind of been.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Kind of, it's gonna be tough with these small pockets and the pocket collapsing and stuff along those lines. While Brady doesn't have the elusiveness that Jameis Winston has, and Jameis Winston does have really good pocket awareness, most of the time. Yeah. Tom Brady, it's Tom Brady. I think he'll have good pocket awareness too, and we all know that. So that should be. I think things will be okay, but our tackles do certainly have a lot to prove. It should be really interesting. One thing I thought was interesting was and we don't have to do this if we don't want to, but I thought this would be a fun thing to do. Have you guys seen on Twitter this thing where you name the most overrated, underrated players, the best players, the key new addition, player that could surprise, player that takes the leap, and the one who has the prove it year?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It's fine. Forget it.
Well, what about it? I mean, it sounds like
it's basically like you go through a list of players where you say the most overrated player on your team, the most underrated player on your team, the best player on your team, the key new addition on your team, one player that could surprise, one player that's going to be taking a leap this year, and one player who has to prove it this year.
So you want to do that real quick?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Let's do it.
Kind of put an exclamation point on this,
all right.
Season's prediction, kind of just saying like guys who we think could be good and could be bad and stuff like that.
What's the first one?
So the first one's most overrated.
I got mine.
Ooh, go ahead.
I got mine.
So I'm a fan of this guy, but I do think he is a tad bit overrated on that defensive line. It's Ndamukong Suh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you. We just talked about him. I said Donovan Smith, and I don't know if it's overrated. I guess it is overrated a little bit. I just still think he has a lot to prove, in terms of in terms of what he needs to show as a left tackle. And I just feel like in terms of him getting that money, he's a little bit overrated for getting that money that he got.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to go with Ndamukong Suh as well. I was one of the guys that was really happy when we signed him. because I know for sure I know what he's bringing. You know what I'm saying? I know what we have, but I also was like, if we don't sign him, I completely had faith in Nunez. I have faith in a few people that can go there and again not be the same beast as Sue, but I don't think our D line as a whole would have took a big of a hit, because I think no matter what, Vita Vea is going to be a beast and he's going to do what he does. So I would definitely go with Sue as far as overrated. And it sounds wrong to say it. It sounds mean, but it's not.
I will say I originally had Sue, but I changed it at the last minute because I was like, well, but Sue was a really good run defender, and while he didn't get the sack numbers, he was still pretty good at pass rushing.
I mean, one thing you can't take away about Ndamukong Suh, and you can't deny it, 2 years in a row, he played next to the sack leader of the NFL. So, right. That can definitely say something in itself. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chris Fisher on Twitter. This man is always throwing stats out about Ndamukong Suh compared to the rest of the defensive tackles in the NFL. And I won't lie to y'all, the numbers do not lie. I won't say that Ndamukong Suh is not a role player on that defense. I definitely think he has his fit. He plays his part, and I think he goes out there, maybe slacks off a few plays every now and again. I remember some film I was watching last year. He would take a play or two off every now and again. But I just think when it comes to overrated players, Sue is that guy. But I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I'm glad that he's on our team, and I'm glad they re-signed him to another deal. But I think he's the most overrated guy on the team.
Okay,
I feel you. So next we got to do underrated.
I think the easy answer is Lavonte David, but I almost feel like at this point I don't want to say that.
Yeah, I didn't put Lavonte David because I was just sick of saying it. I'll go first. I said Carlton Davis. Now I am so freaking biased towards Carlton Davis. He's my hashtag #1 corner. I freaking love the guy. I think he is physical. I think that the coaching staff loves him. I think he can cover up some of the most physical wide receivers in the game. And I know I'm super crazy optimistic, James, but I think he can do it. I think he can do it to the point where, he basically just usurped Vernon Hargreaves last year for that starting cornerback job pretty freaking quickly. So I really think that this year, I think he's going to have a big year.
I think if I have to go most underrated right now, like I said, Lavonte is the easy answer, but I think my follow-up is Jamel Dean. He had a really, really good second half of the season last year. He filled in a great role in that secondary, and I think he's going to build off of it and have another really good year, maybe better than he was last year. That's kind of where the secondary is as a whole. It's a lot of these guys waiting to take that next step. And if they can all take that next step, they're going to be a scary unit. As of right now, I think their success early on in the season is going to depend on the pass rush. I think the pass rush makes their job easier. And that's why they look so good against, say, Atlanta last year when we played in Atlanta. Carlton Davis had that interception. He wrestled out of the hands of the receiver who I can't remember. But, I think Jamel Dean is probably the most underrated guy on the roster.
Good pick. This was kind of tough because I was thinking, are we talking like in the NFL, or are we talking like in the Bucs community?
I would say, I guess the Bucs. Yeah, I'd say Bucs community.
Because if it's NFL, I think we all agree it's definitely got to be Lavonte David. No one understands how good that guy is.
Yeah.
Bucs community, I kind of, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do this just for the Bucs community. My most underrated player is Rojo. I'm going with Rojo. Okay. I think Rojo this year is going to be a super freaking star. I think Rojo's going to put himself as far as a deadly weapon, just like we have with Mike and Chris Godwin. I think Rojo's going to be right there with them, and everyone's going to be like, man, where did this guy come from? The little glimpse that I seen from him, if we just get a decent O-line that will open up some holes and just let him get to the second level. That's it. Just let him get to the second level. I think he's going to have a career season. I think he's going to be a problem. So I'm going to go with Rojo.
I think it's important, honestly, to find that good piece that can complement him. I think Keyshawn Vaughn, who we got in the third round this year, I think he can be that guy. for some reason, a lot of people thought that we drafted Vaughn to be Rojo's replacement, and that is not the case. He is definitely there to complement Rojo. I think he can fill the hole that Peyton Barber left. You know, when I look at the type of player that Vaughn is, he's like a faster Peyton Barber almost, who can catch the ball a little bit better. And I think that's really important.
Home run, unlike Peyton Barber couldn't. Peyton Barber and Doug Martin couldn't hit the home run.
Yeah, those guys, they just did not have that open field speed. They didn't have that breakaway speed. I hated watching Doug Martin get his ass chased down every long run, bro. It was...
I love the guy, but gosh, I would be like, please make it, please make it. Oh, he didn't get it.
Doug Martin was so funny, bro, because he's a hell of an athlete, but like he was so small. Watching him run, he's huffing and puffing. That's so funny. Oh my God. But I got distracted thinking about the muscle hamster. But going back to what you said about Rojo, I think getting that complimentary piece back there helps him a lot. I think Tom Brady dumping him the football 4 or 5 times a game out on a little out route is going to help him out a lot too. I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah.
I think the coaching staff wants him to succeed too.
I was telling a lot of people on Twitter, in the second round, I was like, I really don't think we're going running back in the second round. Like,
I think it's too rich.
Yeah, it is. It's too rich. And I really think our coaching staff likes Rojo. I really think, and not just like, I think they really see something in Rojo. I think they like him. And I do too. I think he's special, man. I think the kid's going to be special.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the next one is the best player on the team. That's tough.
Mike Evans.
I'd put Mike Evans at first.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say Tom Brady, but he's never taken a snap in a Buccaneer uniform. So I'm going to say Mike Evans right now.
Yeah. I actually said Levante David.
Okay.
And that's tough, man. That's a tough answer. I had Mike Evans at first, just given the pace he was on. But I mean,
I'm gonna tell you,
Levante's tough.
I'm gonna tell you who I'm going with, and I don't like saying it because I respect Mike Evans so much, but I don't think people understand how high Chris Godwin's ceiling is. I think that man is special, man. I think Chris Godwin, in my opinion, Chris Godwin can do everything Mike can and do things that Mike can't after the catch.
Yeah.
So I put I'm gonna say Chris Godwin.
Wow, ooh, that is a lot of
people, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, that is wild. All right.
And I don't like saying it because again, Mike is my dude, and I don't take nothing away from Mike. And you saying Mike, I cannot argue with it. But I'm gonna go with Rojo. I'm gonna go with
Rojo. He's the best.
I'm gonna go with Chris Godwin.
It's interesting because like when you think of best player, you think of I guess you just think of a guy where like, oh my God, like if we lost this guy, like I would just be devastated. Like, you know, it'd be like the Panthers losing a Luke Kuechly or something like how we talked about earlier in the live stream, you know?
Yeah.
That was kind of my reasoning for picking Levante David. And it's a tough one, man. It is a tough one. But I like the answers there, man. And next one is key new addition. Wonder which one this could be. I have Tom Brady. I don't know.
I think for the sake of conversation here, I will say Gronk. I know Brady is the easy answer, but Gronk is Gronk is he's that new addition who just I don't want to say you don't know what to expect because with Rob Gronkowski, you know, a lot of people call him the greatest tight end of all time. So you know what to expect in that department. But I think if he can come in and he can block half as good as he was before he was retired, he will be that key player that really opens up things for the run game. You know, somebody in the live chat had brought up the right side of the offensive line, and they said, think of the holes between Tristan Wirfs and Gronk. We couldn't run to the right side last year because the defenses didn't have to respect it because they couldn't make any holes happen. If Gronk can come in and block, he can start showing OJ how to block a little bit better, and Tristan Wirfs can live up to potential, then I think Gronk could be very, very important on this offense, regardless if he's used as our lead receiving tight end or if he's just an extra blocker on the right side. I think if we can get a healthy version of Gronk that we had, you know, like I said earlier, 80% of the player he used to be, I will be happy with it. I think he's that guy.
Right. Yeah. Well, we got Brady, we got Gronk. Honestly, there's only one other real addition that you can put in this category, and it's Tristan Wirfs, the first rounder. we desperately needed that right tackle, and I think he's going to fill that hole. But I would like to say this, giving like what do they call that? What do you call it when they don't make the list, but they were like close to making the list?
An honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Since I'm going that route with saying the rookie, as one of the most important new pieces we got, Tyler Johnson and Antoine Winfield. Antoine Winfield for that defense might make that defense something special. Having that type of safety back there patrolling, that might make that defense on a whole nother level.
I really hope that Justin Evans is healthy enough by training camp to where we see a position battle for that free safety spot between Winfield and Evans, because holy hell, you're going to get the best out of both of those guys.
Yes, that's my gosh. And I already thought our defense was going to be on another level this year coming up, but if that guy can get it going and just fit in and gel in right with this defense and understand what we're trying to do, he can take this defense to a whole nother level. And as far as Tyler Johnson could possibly be Brady's favorite weapon. As far as Brady loves those slot guys. Tyler Johnson could be a monster in the slot, man. So that could be a problem too. But I'm going with worse. But those were my honorable mentions.
There you go. All right. So the next one is a player who could surprise this season. That's a tough one. There's a lot of players you could think of, I don't know. Rhett, do you have one?
I got a lot of names bouncing around. I wanted to say Rojo. We kind of talked about him a little bit earlier, just a lot of the potential that he brings to the table. I think he will surprise a lot of the naysayers this year. I think RTP covered pretty much all the reasons that Rojo is going to be a problem out of the backfield this year, but I'll just say it again. I think he's probably the most likely on the team to turn some heads, because we've got a lot of people in this fan base who believe he should have been replaced. And I don't think it's fair to him. And I'm sure he hears that. This is a guy who 2 off seasons in a row has really been working to get better. He's been uploading clips to Twitter of his route running, which is looking good. He beefed up last off season. Like, he went from Ronald Jones II to Ron Jones because Brady called him Ron Jones in his introductory press conference. So I'm going to refer to this grown-ass man as Ron Jones. Exactly. And I think Ron Jones is going to turn some heads this year. I think he'll surprise everybody.
I was torn. At first, I thought Scotty Miller.
That was what I was going to say.
And I was sitting there, I was like, okay, Scotty Miller. And I sat there, I started thinking a little bit more. I'm going to go with Alex Kappa.
I like it.
I think Alex Kappa last year proved, one, he's a badass who can play through a broken arm. I couldn't even fathom playing in any type of sport with a broken arm. And second, like, he wasn't that bad last year. His leap from year 1 to year 2 was awesome.
He was a stud.
I think it just goes to show how screwed up Dirk Cutter had our rookies in their first year, guys like Ronald Jones, Alex Kappa, some other guys, because just as soon as Dirk Cutter was out of there, you can see how much they can do when they get opportunities. So I really think that Alex Kappa is going to continue to prove that, this guy is one tough dude who can be really solid at the right guard position. So yeah, I'm going to say Alex Kappa, and I think he's going to solidify that offensive line with Ali Marpet, at least in the interior, with Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen and Alex Kappa.
I like it.
I was going to go. I do want to say Scotty, because that's my guy. I like Scotty, man. I really would love for Scotty to be that guy. Same thing with Tyler Johnson. I think one of them might be, Brady's little brand new weapon. But you know what? I'm gonna show love. I'm gonna say OJ. I'm gonna say OJ.
I like it.
I'm gonna say OJ. I think OJ redeems himself. I think he learns from the best with Grunk, and I think he shows exactly what we thought he could be with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady uses it, not only uses him right, or not. I don't want to say right because that means it was used wrong before, but Tom Brady uses him and shows him how he likes things to be done, which takes OJ in another level.
And he learns a ton from Gronk too.
Right.
You know what I mean? It helps to have the greatest tight end of all time in the same tight end room as you. So those guys learning from each other. I think Gronk rubbing off some blocking techniques, just some things that he can do to take his game to the next level. I like it, dude. I've got a lot of faith in OJ.
I think the fact that they also picked up his 5th-year option shows, like, because now Gronk and OJ are going to be together the next 2 years.
Yeah.
With Tom Brady. And I think Jason Light is hoping that this is going to be awesome for OJ's development.
They do only have Gronk on a 1-year deal. We got to remember that. If for whatever reason he decides at the end of the year he doesn't want to come back, then that'll be what it is. So it'll be interesting to see. But I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, even if I still think they'd probably re-sign Gronk to a 1-year deal just because he'd probably want to still play with Brady for another year.
Right.
Depending on how his health is. But, even if he says, guys, I'm not feeling healthy, this was a mistake, I'm going to go back to the WWE, wrestle some matches. I really think that, that's kind of like, okay, we have OJ Howard, we have Cam Brady, we still have Anthony Alclair, Yeah. And I think OJ is going to benefit so much, just like what you said, Rhett, learning underneath, Rob Gronkowski for a year. And not to say like he isn't going to get his playing time, but, he's still going to learn, and that's going to be awesome for him.
I mean, if you be real with it, all these tight ends, if you think about it, because we got a lot of tight ends with Claire, Hudson. I mean,
still not as many as Chicago.
Right. Well, we have more better tight ends because even Cameron Brate. I mean, all these tight ends that we got are used, and we've seen what we can use them as. Claire is a really good blocker that can go out there and catch. Hudson could go out there and freaking Randy Moss people. We've seen him do in the preseason just look stupid when he's catching these balls out there. OJ, we know OJ got everything. And then you got Cameron Brate, who's been one of the best red zone threats as a tight end. Everybody can take their game to another level learning from Gronkowski, learning something. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's blocking, route running, falling, beating the zone, anything. He's just a great acquisition for us, man. Having Gronk.
Yeah, I agree, man. So the second to last one is a player who's going to take a leap this season.
Donovan Smith.
Donovan Smith. You think so?
He has to, man.
Out of sheer necessity.
Yeah, like it's just there is more pressure on him now than there ever has been in his entire career because again, we talk about the level of importance that goes into blocking for Tom Brady, and unfortunately that's just the way that it is. I'm not saying that Tom Brady is better than Jameis Winston as a person in any way, shape, or form, but when it comes to the NFL, there's just it's a responsibility that you have to take on. It's a lot of pressure, and I don't want to believe that Donovan Smith is lazy, bro, but he really strikes me as that guy on that offensive line who is the lazy one. I don't know if you guys ever played football. I played football 3 years in high school, and I didn't play any important football, but like we always just had some lazy ass guy on the team we were clowning all the time, and I think D. Smith might be that guy. I hope I'm wrong. I do.
No,
but
let me say this before James goes. I look, I've been saying for a minute, sometimes Donovan Smith looks good, and then he could play against a good defensive end and look good, and then he could play against a bad defensive end and look like trash. He always seems like when there's something at stake, like he really plays. But then when it's like we have one of those losing seasons or whatever, he's just kind of like whatever with it. Yeah. I will also say this. Donovan Smith is not shy of the camera. I've seen him when he want to play video games or whatever. He's over there live streaming and talking to people. When he wants to he's not afraid of the camera. But I do not see him working out. This year was the first time that I've seen him with a bag working on his moves and stuff. So, I mean, maybe I missed some before, but this year was the first time I see him put out videos of him actually working on his technique and stuff like that. So
right.
Hopefully that means something.
Like I said, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm torn. I wanted to say Ronald Jones. I think that is going to be my answer is Ronald Jones takes that leap just out of sheer fact that hopefully he gets the ball more and he gets more opportunities in the passing game. Right. But real quick, I want to say honorable mention is Devin White. Because if he stays healthy, his only problem last year was his health. You know, he missed a few games.
Yeah.
If he was fully healthy, you could have made a legitimate argument that he could have been the defensive rookie of the year.
I think people still made the argument, even though he missed games.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. So, you know, I'm gonna say Devin White. I'm changing my answer. You know, I love Ronald Jones. I do, and I do think he is gonna take a leap. It's Devin White. I mean, the freakish stuff he did last year. Had a fumble return for a touchdown. What was it, like 97 yards or something like that?
Two of them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he did.
He
chased down Chris Carson like a madman in the Seattle game. I thought he was home free, bro.
Whoa. What about the one where he's falling and he hits the ball right before he falls?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Devin White is going to be special on this defense for a very long time. I really hope, just like Levante David, he plays his entire career in a Buccaneer uniform, because he is everything that we could have wanted a protege to be and more.
And, you know, I remember the one play against the Jaguars when he just completely outmuscled Leonard Fournette. And then flexed on Leonard Fournette, and Fournette got mad and started shoving him. Like, the dude's everything. He's absolutely everything.
Probably one of my favorite moments when they had him mic'd up, and he's talking on the sideline, and he was telling his teammates how he was telling Fournette about, oh, you ain't getting that angle route on me, and then like you hear him talking about like what he knows, like, oh, I know what you're trying to do, but that wasn't gonna work. Like, I love hearing when players are talking football like that. Oh, like,
yeah,
he knows what he's doing out there.
Yeah, so for me, it's Devin White.
For me, it's really tied between two people, and you could just flip a coin, and I think both of them will. I'm hoping both of them will. I really don't know who to pick, because it's either Jamel Dean or Sean Murphy Bunting. One of them is going to take another step.
Yeah.
And I think Carlton Davis' step that he took was huge. Carlton Davis' step that he took was huge, and I'm hoping that one of those guys take that same step.
Let me ask real quick. You brought up, you know, the corners that you can potentially take a step this year. There was a guy that, I don't know about disappointed people last year, but definitely was the least talked about rookie in that secondary room. You guys think MJ Stewart can make something happen this year?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by make something happen?
I'll just kind of show us a little bit more than he did last year. I mean, he definitely did not live up to expectations last year. And it's okay. It's a crowded room where you've got very talented guys coming into their own. Carlton Davis, SMB.
It's all second and third round draft picks, you know?
Yeah.
Right. So I can understand why he wouldn't jump out immediately, but there's a lot of people still concerned about him when it comes to that group of rookies that came in. And I think there's a lot of eyeballs on him this year.
I think the second time around, he did better. In the beginning of the year last year, when he was looked at as a starter in that nickel spot, which I say this all the time on my channel. I really think he's an outside corner. He's played outside corner in college and nickel, but as an outside corner, he looked like a shutdown outside corner. But anyways, either way, he in the beginning of the year last year, he was kind of like, It wasn't until like the rest of the corners that we had when Jamel Dean watched tape, and then all of a sudden he looked better, and then all the rest of the corners were like, man, well, he got better. Let's watch tape too. And all of a sudden everybody started watching tape, and that whole secondary got better. Then we saw towards the end of the season, they because someone was getting hurt. I think Carlton Davis got hurt. Someone got hurt, and we had to go a little bit more into depth. And MJ Stewart started playing some more, and he looked better. So I think he's definitely going to be better this year if they continue to do what they were doing last year, which was watch tape and study a little bit more. I think he'll show a little bit more umph and take a better step.
It's just interesting because I wonder, like, can he do better? Sure, he can do better, but how much farther can he really go up the depth chart?
Yeah,
but past that maybe fourth cornerback spot, I don't know if he's going to be able to beat out a Sean Murphy Bunting or Jamel Dean or Carlton Davis for one of those cornerback spots. If they decided to move him back to safety, is he going to beat out an Antoine Winfield Jr. or Jordan Whitehead? Like, there's just competition everywhere in that secondary now, you know?
There really
and
is.
I think it is healthy. You know, when you've got some talented guys to where you're worried about MJ Stewart, a guy who's got some draft stock on him, when you're worried about him making the fourth corner spot, just solely because of the competition that's better than he is, I think it's healthy to have, and I think they'll find a spot for him, but I hope he shows up a little bit more this year.
I think it's great to have because, as we know, this defense is young together, but that also means they're going to get paid together.
Somebody in the live chat said, y'all been streaming for about 3 weeks straight now.
That's how we do it over here, man. I always be having these long live streams.
Oh, man.
But like I was saying, like, you know, they're young together. They're going to have to get paid together, and they're not all going to get paid.
Yeah.
So it's not bad to have somebody in the back like, all right, well, once this guy, we have to let this guy go, whether it's Jamel Dean or Sean Murphy-Bunting, because you know we're not letting go of Devin White, and you know he's going to be the highest paid linebacker in the league. You know, we're going to have to put that money somewhere, and then we're going to have to let go of Jamel Dean or Sean Murphy-Bunting, and when we do that, then MJ Stewart steps up, and then we draft another one, and then we prepare him for when MJ Stewart balls out or Jamel Dean balls out. We have to pay one of them, and we just continue to rotate them like that. We're gonna have to do it somewhere, and I would like it to be the corner. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not bad if that's the situation we have, which is Jamel Dean can't find a place to start because
it's a good problem to have, man. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
Finally, the last one is who has a prove it year.
I feel like we've already said who it is.
I say OJ Howard.
Yeah, I think that's who I'd put too.
And I think just like to everybody, to the coaching staff, to himself.
Yeah. That has to be the biggest one. Yeah.
You know, to the Bucs fan base, but you know, especially the coaching staff, because you know, and I've heard, you know, I've seen some of the quotes that Bruce Arians has gave, you know, and it's not like he's knocking. He's not pulling a Vernon Hargraves on OJ Howard yet.
Right.
Okay. You know, where he's just flat out knocking him in training camp and saying, hey, he's not ready. You know, I booted him from practice because he didn't look like he was ready. You know, he's not there yet. But I feel like it could totally go that way if things don't improve. Yeah. You know? So I feel like OJ has a lot to prove. I just see somebody in chat say Donovan Smith. He does have a lot to prove. I'm just going to say OJ just because, you know, given the year he had last year, you know, there were some moments that made you just go, oh my gosh, OJ, what were you thinking, dude? You know, that behind the back play being a big one. And yeah, I think especially to the coaching staff, he has to prove to them like, hey, post Gronk, you know, I'm your number one guy.
Yeah. I think OJ can do it. You know, we talked about it multiple times throughout the stream. I'll say it again. I definitely think the pressure's on him this year. He's going to have a good year, but I really want him to go out there and figure it out for himself, because we kind of talked about the possibility of, you know, not only doing it for himself, but doing it for the coaching staff and doing it for the other people that watch and say that he's not all of these things that he is. I've got a buddy of mine who is a diehard Jets fan, and we had this conversation before last season. And he's like, I don't even think OJ Howard's a top 10 tight end. He's like, the guy can't stay healthy. He's like, I don't know what Bucs fans see in him. I think he's going to have a bad season. Lo and behold, OJ had a bad season. I'm not saying because my friend told me about it, but people don't see him as that good of a player, and a bad season isn't going to help that. So I hope he can do it for that sake. I think he does have a lot to learn. I think he's in the best situation he can be in right now, other than being some starting tight end for another team in the NFL, which he could totally do. But yeah, pressure's on him. I really hope he can get it done, and he can prove his worth and prove that he can stick around on this team. And, you know, he's just not another one of the negative draft picks attached to Jason Light that people like to look at. So yeah, I think the pressure's on for OJ. He's that guy who's got to step up this year.
I think, you know, I think a lot of people get that mindset when a player drops in the draft. You know, a lot of people start thinking, well, there's got to be some reason why, like, he's probably not that good, because it happens with a lot of people when everyone knows about a player and that player drops and everyone's like, dude, nobody wants him. Like, something's wrong. Like, somebody sees something and then we pick him up at 12, and then the subconsciously they're like, well, he must not be that good. And then if you don't prove them completely wrong, like, oh, you had a real good season, then they're just gonna stick with it. Yeah, I thought so. He had a what okay season, and then he has a bad, So I could see where your friend can pick that up. I think there's no doubt we've all agreed that it has to be OJ, because, like you said, whether it's from the fans' view, from the coaching staff's view, from the teammates' view, like everyone is like, hey, step up this year,
Yeah.
But I will say this though, and I want to get your guys', I guess, I don't know, opinions, or just maybe just leave it with you guys. But one thing that I really don't like reading Buck beat writers and stuff like that, but I did read one article, and they said in one of them that one of the coaches said that he lacks instincts, and I was like, I don't like that, because if you watch him, especially last year that just happened, it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like he's thinking too much, man. Like he's thinking way too much out there.
I think that boils down to confidence. I think his confidence was low last year. His first few seasons, because they told him he couldn't make athletic catches, and he was going to play right tackle for the first 7 weeks of the season. We didn't see him do very much other than block for a run game that wasn't that good. He wasn't that great of a blocker. Did his blocking get better? Yeah, because that was the biggest pet peeve that a lot of people had after his rookie year was, well, he's a great pass catcher, but he can't block. So he worked on that this year, got a little bit better. But I think putting him in that role where he has shown us success before, I think of the Buffalo game. I think of that play action rollout where he was just wide ass open 50 yards down the field and walks into the end zone. The guy's capable of making those plays, sneaking out on a route that people might not see him on. He's very athletic. He's a hell of a pass catcher when he doesn't, fumble it behind his back.
Right.
But I can agree with you. It did seem like he was thinking too much. But if I had to guess, it's all due to confidence. I think it was a low confidence year for him. I think right around the Jacksonville game was where he started to get that momentum back. He had a string of fairly okay games, had a couple of receptions a few weeks in a row. So he came around. But yeah, I think his confidence was the lowest it had ever been in his NFL career.
I'm going to propose a theory as to why his confidence was low. Now, I have nothing to back this up. This is purely off the top of my head.
Right. But like everything we've been saying.
Yeah. But, we've heard all the time, even Bruce will say it himself, this is a very hard offense to learn. And we just talked about how, OJ's overthinking. Maybe it honestly could have been a scenario where OJ might have been struggling with the playbook last year, and he's sitting, if I'm a 23-year-old in the NFL and this is a new offense, and I already know I'm in a little bit of some hot water in terms of there's already people who are doubting me. If I'm not picking up the playbook right away, I would feel pretty stressed out and I would be sitting there, going, okay, before the play, okay, it's this play. I run this route, right? Okay, let me run this route exactly how I got to run it,
Yeah.
And that would, because at the end of the day, the guy's only 22 or 23 years old, 24, still a young man. So maybe he didn't pick up the playbook right away, and maybe that was stressing him out and making him overthink.
And it probably didn't help that Tanner Hudson was out there in preseason, freaking just killing it out there in preseason. So
it didn't help that Tanner Hudson was doing good. Cameron Brate was still doing Cameron Brate things, and Bruce Arians was even coming out publicly and saying, OJ's got a lot of work. OJ's confidence. He's got to work on his confidence. And stuff like that. That does not help people. I'm not knocking anybody for doing anything. Everybody's doing their jobs at the end of the day, but that'll make some people overthink things.
Well, I hope that it's a thing of the past and he gets better, and I think he will. I think we all agree that he'll get it together this year and definitely shut some people up.
I think having Gronk there and having another year where he's going to be more comfortable in this offense, that'll help his confidence loads.
Yeah. Well, we've been on here for a minute. I don't know exactly how long.
2 hours and 45 minutes.
There you go. And it's been great football talk like we do on this channel, man. Great football talk. And before we go, one more time, guys, go ahead and give your guys' info out there, how people can reach you and all that good stuff.
You go ahead, James.
Sure. So, Mr. Bucks Nation on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on all those platforms. We all talk about the Bucks here, all the, moves that the Buccaneers make, all the speculation, schedule talk, everything. We talk about everything, across all platforms. It's all at Mr. Bucks Nation. And again, Perez, thank you for having me on, man. Seriously, this is the first time I've ever been on here, and this has been some absolutely awesome Bucks talk, man. So thank you.
We're gonna have some more of this, man. We're gonna connect a lot more. I've been telling everybody, I just wanted to get my situation right, and I feel like I'm getting there. I'm not exactly there yet, but I'm getting close to it. And today was a perfect opportunity to have you guys on here, man. So,
oh yeah,
hell yeah, man. I've been a fan of what you've been doing with the channel for a while. I've been checking your stuff out, bro, and I really appreciate you just giving me the opportunity to come on. I got some people saying my video is frozen, but as long as you guys can hear me, I guess that's the important part. So I'll throw it out there.
Yes.
You can check out my show, the Cannon Fire Podcast. We are on all major podcasting platforms. We are also on YouTube, and we are less than 10 subscribers away from hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you guys want to go check that out, I would be eternally grateful. We got a new episode coming up in a few days. This is something that isn't public knowledge, but I'm going to let it out right here on the show. Right. We are actually finalizing some details to have Bucks cornerback Mazzy Wilkins join us on the show.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. That should be pretty exciting. Only heard it here. Nobody else knows that. So you didn't hear that from me. But make sure you go check out the show. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. And last but not least, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I promise I will follow you back.
There it is. So we got some Bucks scheduling. We talked about the schedule and game. We had some Buck talks, like some real good football talk and breaking down some of the players on the Bucks. And we had some breaking news on here. So hey, great stream altogether, man. I appreciate you guys being here and joining me. I appreciate everybody in the chat room and in the comment section. I know I didn't, get to the comment sections today because we had a lot to talk about today. But I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you haven't yet, do me a favor. Don't be a hater like McLovin. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. And we'll see you guys the next time we see you guys, and be safe out there. Deuce.